Yo, we're back again. Welcome to the Statement Podcast. Dagz, what you saying? What you saying? What you saying? You there?
I'm here, bro. I'm here.
We got the infamous J2 in here with us as well.
Wake me up.
And the guy who's sitting in here today,
Easy, long as.
he's come from humble beginnings. I mean, real humble. This is like one of those rags to riches type stories. I ain't calling him rich. What I'm saying is back in the day, you might have seen him as a kid in his hometown with a Nike tick on his foot. You know what I mean? Not one of those ones where you kind of have to use your pen and draw it. You know what I mean? Now he's wearing boss shoes. You know what I mean? Let's welcome Marland Pinnock. What's happening?
Marland Pinnock.
Nice to be here, man. Nice to have me, alright?
Yeah, man, welcome, bro.
One of the most motivational guys I know, you know.
I'm serious.
Ever having a bad day, you know, just call Marlon.
Listen, I've only just heard the story, but like this is like legendary to me now. I just heard the story.
If you're having a day where you need to rush off, like you just want to go and do something and rush off, and you buck up with Marlon, prepare, you're away for an hour. It's going to be an hour minimum. But it's proper motivational. So Marlon, welcome to the Statement Podcast. Many won't know who you are. Give us a quick little 30-second intro of Marlon Pinnock.
Where you from?
Yeah, that's what I'm from, like, you know, obviously I'm born in Jamaica, rural Jamaica.
Whereabouts?
Clarendon, way up in the mountains.
That's where bodyguard come from.
Yeah.
That's where bodyguard come from, isn't it? Not Clarendon.
Close to where bodyguard come from, because they from, technically speaking, what I do understand of bodyguard is they're from just down the road from us, like the neighbouring parish.
Okay,
You know what I'm
yes.
saying? But same sort of up in the stick basically.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we're actually up in the mountains, like real bad road.
Yeah.
But you know what I'm saying? But we'll make it to England.
What was school like walking up the back? Did you have to?
Yeah, it's cool. Oh, going up the mountain for school. Wow, yeah. To be honest with you, it's like,
How long was the journey?
it's not even going up the mountain. We live up the mountain. So
Oh, so it's all downhill. All right.
It's not even up the mountain, you know what I'm saying? So, but it's great. I mean, I go back to Jamaica now,
Yeah.
and it's stuff that you normally take for granted. Like, you know what I'm saying? They always said the grass is green on the other side.
Yeah.
But now, going back to Jamaica now, it's like I could go to Jamaica and I could stay up in my mountain for 2 weeks, and that's like, I'm coming from a concrete jungle, so I'm actually there, like,
Yeah.
I'm in love with the grass, I'm in love with the river, I'm in love with everything like that. So this is something that every year I try to do. And then because I'm always doing project within my area as well. So
with that means you're quite spiritual then, right?
yeah, because my grandma basically, you know, I mean most country boy in Jamaica is spiritual basically.
Yes.
You know, like sort of 5 days at school. Saturday you go to the market to buy the food and whatever, bring it back for the week. And because country is not like Kingston, so you don't really have. At the time when I was growing up, things changing now. There's a lot of, you know, there's no such thing as country like we grew up in. But back then it was traditional.
Yeah.
The market keep on a Saturday. You say if you miss the Saturday boat, that's it.
Gone.
That's the next Saturday. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, you just have the rights. You don't
Proper
have
humble beginnings.
Pretty much basically. And then you have the Sunday school now.
Yeah.
So we used to go. My grandma it used to be wood fire. There's no like gasoline or anything like that. No stove. There's no coal as well. It's like literally proper wood. Like you know.
So hold on, you were up to give us sticks?
No, no Flintstone thing. But at the same time, you know, like, just off the Flintstone. You know what I'm saying? Just off the Flintstone. But then we used to go and unlock the dry branches and whatever, and bring it up. And you know, the older guys that used to have to do the axe. You know, we was young.
What's missing now with the youths of today? Like,
it's
everything is just so instant. They don't realize about this physical things. Like, what to do to make things happen. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, pretty much basically.
Like, it's just there, innit?
It's like these are the kind of things we see on TV and feel like, did that really happen though? No, man, they made that for TV. That's not real. You know what I mean?
Mentality.
But saying that now, going back to Jamaica now, kids there don't really even know this because things evolve.
Yes.
Because remember, you have young people like us.
Yeah.
Or when we was young, we have grey hairs now. We're not that young, but basically, we actually become that elderly or that basically senior so. Now we actually adopt this whole modern thing, which is not a bad thing. I believe in evolvement, but we evolve to growing up in Jamaica, we used to have mangoes, and the mangoes never used to ripe on the tree. We used to be climbing it, picking it long before it ripe. Now I could go to Jamaica and mangoes on the road, like literally. Nobody want those mangoes.
Yeah.
Which is crazy, because we never have a fruit that actually stay on the tree. When I was growing up, basically, we, it was one fruit to 100 men trying to get that fruit.
Yeah.
But now, like,
spoiled. Everybody can just accessible.
no, we don't need that fruit. I don't know if the fruit is a lot more, or the kids that don't have that taste,
Accessible.
or they just like something totally different. There's a lot of foreign imports coming in as well.
And that's because they can get everything more now. It's like that was what you had to eat at that time.
Pretty
But
much.
now it's
And
not
what do
the
you think
case.
is the
Yeah.
biggest influence? Like, is it media, is it TV, or is it actually?
To be honest with you, growing up, I must say, I'm not saying that I was all country and don't really have a dream as well, because if you remember Pele and the pizza and the football, basically,
Yeah.
so I never had pizza in my life at that time. So my dream was to taste pizza, because you remember Pele write the pizza on the ball and kick it, and then before you know it, the pizza, and I'm thinking, whoa.
I'll be honest with you. We ain't seen that.
But that was the advert. Yeah. But that was the advert, basically, when I was growing up.
Yeah.
So we actually see like Coca-Cola advert for Christmas and stuff like that. So
Rest in peace, Pele.
Yeah.
we did
Legend.
have Coca-Cola, but what I'm trying to say is, you always try to have, you always try to want what you don't have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So growing
Now
up in
they have
Jamaica,
it. Yeah.
exactly. So yeah, from the beginning, as you're saying, but the kids them these days, as you're saying, I love the kids them these days for one thing.
Yeah.
Kids are a lot more sort of exposed, a lot more cleverer than when we growing up in some sense.
Yeah.
One could argue basically. With the modern technology there now, a kid will actually operate better than you and me.
Yes.
But the practicality thing and the common sense that we'll call it basically,
Yeah.
it's not been teached no more basically.
Because they don't know what they can do with it. They just use it for their yeah.
Yeah, because before, when we used to do computer, and like we used to go to school and they teach us word processing, Microsoft Word, and that's Excel, you doing data entry and whatever the case is, but that's you doing
That's
computer
natural,
at the
yeah.
time. But now you can just do it on your phone, and everybody computer illiterate.
It's natural
But you
to
like
them.
phone illiterate,
Yeah.
but not necessarily computer illiterate to that extent.
Yeah.
So, I think, as I said, we never had iPhone. So there's a lot of good technology that people created now that we must not overlook and say, things was much more better then.
Yeah.
Because things is better now, basically, overall.
1,000%.
It's balance, isn't it?
It's a balance, basically.
balance.
But we must not get about all of that, basically.
Yeah.
That is a whole different ball game.
Or are you the type of person to kind of sit the youth them down and tell them how it used to be? Is it that uncle duties?
If you could catch the youths, them, because they're busy. If you could catch them, but the thing is, in all honesty,
Do they
like,
believe you when they tell them the stories though?
yeah, like my kids are basically like, because I got two boys, and at the moment we're my first, I don't know, I'm 40 now, so my first, I don't say, going back to my 20 self, basically, having kids and stuff like that, I wasn't a dad that doing the average dad stuff with the kids.
Okay.
I was actually thinking, I'm doing this for my kids, so, I want to start this thing, So, straight there, I missed out a lot of things that I could see that a good dad would do, basically.
Okay.
So, yes, I do provide for them, but at the same time, as I admire the parents that can actually bring their kid to a football game every single Sunday.
Yeah.
Work-life balance.
It's what I'm trying to say, basically.
Yeah.
So that's where I'm actually saying. So I'm not saying I got it all right. I didn't. But I still admire everything about everyone.
Yeah.
There's always something to admire about someone, basically. Or add to your game, basically.
When did you come over to England?
Oh, yeah. I finished school in Jamaica full time. So I'm getting old now, so my memory. Yeah,
No,
but
you're not getting old. You're not getting
But at
old.
the same time, I finished school in 2000.
Okay.
So I finished school in 2000, and I came over, so let's say 2001. So 2001. So I came over 2001. 2002, it was a case like, I'm trying to find myself in England.
Right.
And then obviously, you overseas, you fall in this big country, big road, big everything, and you're thinking, rah. You see the telly.
Yeah. What is
I
it?
was about 17/18. Just approaching 18, basically.
And you came over with parents?
No, that was actually the funny thing. It's like sort of, because Jamaica, England is like the next step. Like as a kid growing up in Jamaica in my time, going back in the 90s, basically, we either go to America or England, or possibly Canada. But Canada wasn't such a big place on our list at the time.
For a destination
for you?
It was always going to be America, because America of all the coolest stuff at the time, I thought. Because you got all the rappers, that that type of thing we're into, basically. And we're thinking, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. All the coolest stuff was actually showing
in the States.
In the States, basically.
And that's why I asked you about the influence, because I remember being in Jamaica in the early days. It's like MTV had a big influence.
Exactly. It was, naturally, as a Jamaican kid growing up, basically, you have a much more bigger influence. If someone drilling England in you, that's different. If you have an England background or something like that. But if you're
the TV show,
if a TV show,
it's all America.
It's all American show. Yeah, you're pretty much. So everything is American.
Yeah,
and that's the dream.
Yeah,
and don't forget about the Jamaican culture too, because we used to have Eeyore and we used to have all those things that we look forward to. But if you look at the cartoons, we used to have American cartoons.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? We used to have the Power Ranger. We used to have all that type of thing. So yeah, it's embedded in us from that time.
What's hilarious about that?
Yeah.
The Americans used to, I don't know about so much now, but they used to be stunned on how is it we could do the accent, but they can't do our accent.
Yeah.
And we had to tell them that, hold on a second, we have your TV stuff on our channels.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? We get to watch all American TV.
Yeah.
I think this type of stuff, that when they're trying to do our accent, is kind of like posh. Which is the reason why I keep talking about tea and crumpets and you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because they're exposed to the type which is kind of like, I don't know, carry on. Carry on.
Yeah. But if you also listen to the English accent, basically, sometimes what you all guys actually say, like in my early days, actually listen to you all guys, basically. And if you listen to somebody from Birmingham, or you actually listen to someone which not so street for argument's sake, then whatever they're saying, sometimes you don't really get the pronunciation that right. So you hear something totally different.
Yeah.
Because I remember coming to England and it was like, everyone was like, you're right, mate, and then you swear you hear mate, you never hear mate. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So all this time you're hearing something else. So if you go to repeat it, you're going to
translation and any subtitles too. Yeah, I mean,
exactly. It's going to lose some translation.
All of them Jamaican, old school Jamaican. Exactly.
That's what I'm going to say. So you're hearing something totally different. It's so forced. And you just get the last bit of it. Yeah. So be like, all right, I'll run with that.
Even saying it, mate, you have to be my mate. Yeah.
So that's what it is. So now so you take like, I'm talking about, say for instance, that no one correct you. Because England, in England, everyone's so polite. They'll be like, okay. So no one correct you. So this is why. So you can, yeah. So that's what it is. So
you came over with who? Who did you come
So
over?
basically, I came over by myself.
Okay.
So I came over
a bit for the
That's a little piece.
I came over by myself basically at the time.
Okay.
And
stage where? What was the setup?
so this is the thing. I had a friend over here basically that came over about 6 months before me.
Right.
And my first time I I'm in London at Heathrow, then on a coach Birmingham. As a young kid, and you and your friend went to school together, regardless where he is, that's the friend you want to go to. So I came to London the first time. I remember I came out at Victoria, in a coach, and I came down to Dalston, Kingsland.
Okay, Hackney.
Yeah, so when I came out of Dalston, Kingsland, like my first day at the Dalston, I came out of that on the overhead. And I'm telling you, it hit me straight away. I'm thinking, this is a place I want to be. This is living Jamaica. You get the vibe straight away. And you get this Jamaican thing in the Wrigley Road Market. And I'm thinking like,
What year was that?
That was actually something like 2000 that was about 2001. Yeah, and that was a year when, if you actually remember, there was a pub inside of the market there, and you're walking along the stretch basically. That pub turned into a police station after a long while, but and then the Pentagon was there and stuff like that. So and there's like a bagel shop, but it was actually literally Jamaica. And it was summer as well, so I sort of got that, that vibe. It's home away from home basically, and Brixton was the same.
Yes.
But Dalston was mine.
Yeah.
So Hackney was that place basically for me.
So you had accommodation there?
Yeah, I had all Jamaicans have a lot of family here. Regardless if we don't know them, you do have a lot of family here. Yeah. Somewhere along the line, because that's how the bloodline runs.
Same like we go to Jamaica.
Yeah, pretty much basically.
It's not that we're going to check them though.
Yeah, but that's what it is. So being a Jamaican and we hear about our family, like naturally you want to look for them.
Yeah.
So you've been looking for these families and stuff like that. And then tell a lie, what actually happened is that some of my family used to come and visit us. So they kind of actually hear that, we're actually coming in that direction as well.
Yeah.
So I'll be like, say for instance, Jay's my family, like, hey Jay, we'll go there because Jay come to visit Jamaica sometimes. So
yes.
link up Jay or whatever the case is. So it's a bit like that. And then so that what it was.
See, on our part now, when that happens, we're like, right, how long is he going to stay?
Yeah, exactly.
2 weeks Santa, I'm counting.
But funny you say that, because growing up in Jamaica, you have an English cousin coming over.
Good point. Yeah.
You need to come off that bed and give that cousin that bed.
Yeah. So how long is he going to stay?
But the problem is, but in Jamaica we don't even say that. That's the funny thing. Being a Jamaican, that is like compulsory. That is actually
that's part of the thing.
That's a part of it. If you get one of your English cousins come over, or aunties or uncle or whatever, that's the plate come out. We have some plates that never been out of the cupboard. You remember? So basically that plate only come out when special occasion, basically.
Yes.
Fancy plate. Exactly. Yeah. And these are our foreign cousins can only get those plates out. It's what I'm trying to say, basically. But funny enough, as you're saying that, basically we're looking for the same treatment. Vice versa. We come on, we ain't getting no plate. We ain't getting no plate, as you're saying.
Yeah, I get you.
We ain't getting no plate. And I got my first introduction to fish and chips and chicken and chips. Yeah. So that big box of chips come with the chips that look like that, and I think, wow. And cold as hell. Yeah. Those chips, he says, it's steam coming off and stuff like England was like a different thing. Yeah. That's not what we see on the telly. That's not what we see on the telly, but...
So tell me something.
Yeah.
Did you ever have problems convincing the regular white person here that you was from Jamaica? I'm talking about the accent.
All right, this is the thing. When first thing first, if you want to repeat yourself 20 times, don't learn an accent in England. You know what I'm saying? You're gonna shove like, but then you start catching on after like 6 months or a year.
Yeah.
You start thinking, right, I need to fix that place. I think I need to listen. But then that might, you know what I'm saying? So you're still getting the pronunciation wrong as well.
Yes.
So then you'll be like, all right, I get that. But again, it's funny. Say for instance, you do come over in your teens, you're gonna have a different approach to life. And if you do come over as in your 20s or your 40s or something like that, then it's a total different ball game. Because you're hanging with a different crowd.
Yeah, the older you are, the more you want to fit in with the younger.
Yeah,
pretty much basically. So if you actually say younger, you're gonna come and hang around all the youngers guys. So they will actually bring you to maybe a rave or something like that, or you're on the road and before you know it, maybe police chasing you because you just fall in within that stereotypical thing. But if you're actually older now, you probably find someone bringing you to work. You know what I'm saying? So the environment is totally different.
Was they Irish? You have like a kind of you have like kind of like a twang, like a maybe like a sign an Irish kind of.
I feel like it's
I
clock. You hear it now?
Funny enough, after I just came to England, you do have that Irish thing, but the thing is.
You see, you heard Conor McGregor, right? You heard Conor McGregor, right? All right.
I mean, like the thing is basically when we actually first like sort of just told come here somewhere, you try to fix certain things, but the thing is, growing up in Jamaica, I never really. My first experience of overseas was in England.
Okay.
My first experience of overseas, my mum migrated to St. Martin, so from Small Island.
Yeah.
So I spent a lot of my teenager here in St. Martin. So that was my first.
That's what I hear more. I hear that there's a mix of.
Yeah, so I have like a different Caribbean in my basically. Like Caribbean touching me as a kid because.
From this angle, I see a big Idris Elba as well.
You said I can see it with these things myself. No.
That's Marland.
To be honest,
I can see it. Have you got that before?
Yeah, I've got that. Yeah. Genuinely,
I can see it, yeah.
Genuinely, I've got
double.
Big cousin.
But the funny thing is, growing up in St. Martin, because my mum migrated to St. Martin from Jamaica. Because my mum had moved when she was 14.
Okay.
So like 40 was 15. So it's like she migrated, and and I grew up with my grandma. So most of my time spent in this world was by my grandma's feet.
Okay.
So it was like my grandma like a handbag basically. I go everywhere with her, church everywhere like that. So I was like, so then my
one of them trolleys as well.
No, you know what funny thing is? I was actually trying to work out the other day how old was my grandma? Because you know when you're born and see someone old, you think you're like,
you don't know the age, you just know the old. Okay.
But then I worked out the other day that my grandmother was 50 when I born. So by the time I met my grandma properly, she must have been 55, 60.
Yes.
So that's what I'm thinking. My grandmother. It's not even my grandma. It's my great grandma.
Oh wow.
But then I born and see my great grandma and my two grandma, and they was alive for over 20 years, and up to over 30 years for two of them. I mean, one died and then the other two stay alive, for the full duration of, died only a year ago.
Oh wow.
In the COVID, two of them basically one time. So
do you have any grandparents left?
No.
Okay.
At the moment, no. But then the ladies sort of outlive the men, and
as usual.
As usual, yeah. So that's what it is. But then at the same time, I was actually quite privileged as a kid because I wouldn't really say privileged in the sense that like I grew up with money. I never grew up with money, but I was privileged. I was actually really, really loved because when you grow up with your grandparents, it's a different type of love.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying?
I agree with
you
that.
get more food. That's hence my size. You know what I'm saying?
You know,
it's definitely beautiful.
You guys don't believe it.
Go to rest of the song. Go to rest of the song.
There is a song basically, like the most loveliest lady I ever met, basically. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I think that's the thing. Basically, she instills certain values in us. You know what I'm saying? And then look at things like I'll talk to you and be like, yeah, one cook a full basket. And I don't know I'm saying it, but straight away, these are things that I've been taught.
Yeah.
So these have always been my values.
That's where the accent comes from. I ain't gonna lie to you. You sound like my Uncle Everton. The pronunciation of the T's and stuff.
Yeah.
That's not city thing. That's country.
Exactly.
And the elder thing as well.
Yeah, pretty much. But then most of my life I spend talking to older people. So I was like a young old kid, if you want to see what I'm saying.
That's your environment,
environment basically. So you're a product of a environment.
Yeah.
So, and I've been around a lot of different environments. So I picked up so much I'm not really from one environment, but I travel a lot around families basically because my mum wasn't there. My mum migrated to actually make a better life to St. Martin. So I was staying with this auntie, staying with this uncle. So sometimes good, the bad, and the ugly basically. So I picked up a lot of bad habits as well, but most of them good. So that's I've been fortunate. That's how I look at my life. I've been fortunate. I don't have no regrets.
So you was in Kingston High Road. You was adapting to this new world and stuff.
Yeah.
What was you like? Because for me, you're just straight business. You're just straight.
Yeah, you see, the thing is basically like you all guys actually know of me more than in the office, more than in the factory. And I can actually understand that. But long before that, I was posting you all guys on Kingsland Road. You know what I'm saying? I was posting you all guys on Kingsland Road.
When I first met you saying that,
Yeah.
From the market.
Yeah, pretty much. I was posting you guys on Kingsland Road because what actually happened is because my love for designing, I used to collect flyers. Wherever I see a flyer, I'd pick it up. Because from Jamaica, I will first get introduced to this thing basically. When I left St. Martin at 1998, and I returned back to Jamaica because St. Martin was French and Dutch, so I couldn't really cope with the French and Dutch because I went there too late.
I was going to ask you that because Martinique and St. Martin are French.
Yep, pretty much. And that's what the problem was. So my mum used to pay for a private school for me. Say private school, a lady that have a room probably this big with 4 or 5 of us inside there, and she was actually paying, and then we was actually learning some stuff that she could have actually teach us, but not necessarily nothing to get up to speed. So she made the decision to say, you know what, you can't go back to Jamaica. So I spent 2 years with her, and she was paying like $100 US for me to go to school, but it wasn't really working out because when you were 13 and 14 and someone teaching you probably grade 8 stuff or a grade some way too low. You should be doing some sort of
academically.
Pretty much basically. And so I returned to Jamaica in 1998, and I went back to high school for 2 years. Then after that, I leave to England basically. So my life was like sort of start traveling to my mum back and forth. Before that, prior to living with my mum, I was going to visit her for holidays. So my first introduction to the wider or different taste of life was St. Martin. Because I think the first time I actually see a white person is actually, or any other race otherwise from Indian, because there's a lot of Indians in Jamaica at the time.
Yeah.
But because in Jamaica we're hot grew up, I never really grew up in the city. I'm like a country boy.
Yes.
So I never really see so much different race people.
Country boy, mountain
Yeah, mountain boy,
mountain animal, man.
basically.
Yeah.
So, and because at the time, I used to go to town with my grandma, but as a kid growing up in Jamaica, you don't really have no reason to travel.
Yeah.
You only travel with your parents or with your guardian, basically, or some family member or something like that. So, at that time, when I started traveling to St. Martin, that was about 1993, 94, I started discovering that it's a bigger world out there. So that was my first discovery of that.
Yeah.
And that helped me a lot because
multiculturalism.
pretty much. So I went back to Jamaica to study, and I was actually there going to school and stuff like that. But I could tell you stories then.
Yeah.
And people were like, what was it like? So it wasn't like no Instagram or anything like that. I was the Instagram.
Yeah.
I was telling you, over there like this, over there like that.
Yeah.
So people so your popularity growing because they'd be like, tell me about the plane or tell me about this.
Yeah.
And then that's what you normally do, basically. So straight away, I never had a bad life because I've always been a popular kid.
Sounds like you could have been a geography teacher.
Yeah, pretty much, basically. I was St. Martin.
Yeah.
Yes, that's dogs, man. Gosh. You know what I'm saying? But basically, that's what it was. And then going back to Jamaica now, basically, I spent 2 years. But saying that, I was a kid that growing up with your grandparents. Now you start, you start want to do things with your mommy and daddy.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So you start want to go out when you're not supposed to. I remember coming back home and I need to get in the house and my grandmother closed the door and I'm breaking through the window trying to get in because my grandma said I'm not opening the door, you know what I'm saying? So my grandmother called my mum and said, "How you gonna take him?"
Oh.
So then my mum took me in St. Martin. So that's how I ended up in St. Martin basically.
Yeah.
And then my mum was she trying with me and tears coming down my eye, she used to work in 20 years old a day. And I was 4 lower than the average of 40 at the time, but because she was an immigrant at the time and she had to take whatever job she actually could get. So then that opened my eye and said, wow, my mum worked real hard.
Yeah.
So when I was actually thinking I'm a borrow kid and my mum was going to send me a filler or something like that, and as a kid you're thinking, yeah, look at my filler. No, it wasn't even like that. My mum after work real hard to
provide that. Yeah.
pretty much. So, but if you don't see that, you can't adjust to that. You imagine that your mum in foreign, you imagine that things is great.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But things wasn't that great. So what actually happened is now, because I was right beside her now, and then she got me a job. She got me a job for the first time. She sent me to do some construction work. And then I started I become a labourer over there. And then
That's a lot of labour. How old was you then?
I was about I can't be more than 14, 15. I can't be nothing more than that, basically. And then she sent me with this guy called Paul. I can't forget this.
That'd be illegal now to be doing them construction work at 14, 15 now, right?
No, not necessarily. I don't know if it's illegal, but this is normal.
Yeah, I'm talking about back then, but I'm talking about now. I'm sure
But
that'd be
even
too
now,
loud.
no. Now, if in the Caribbean, if your kid want to work, the way I understand it, if a kid come to you for a job and he prepare to work, I don't know if there's any rule against that, but I do see kids at that age work.
Okay.
I see younger kids on that work.
Yeah.
Almost everywhere in the world except England. But you know that it's not illegal for you to work in England at 15.
Yeah.
You can actually have a job in England at 15.
I think the earliest job you can have at maybe 13, 14 is a paper round or something like that. I don't even know if they do that anymore.
Yeah, but say for instance,
That's right?
no, you can actually I thought that was the case.
Yeah.
But looking into things, basically, think about it. If you're in school, they do send you a working experience, isn't it? And that's what
Yes. But I swear that's at 14 or something like
that's
that.
covered by the school, isn't it? So
but at the same
we're talking
time,
about actually earning a wage with your own
but earning a wage,
national insurance number.
but say for argument's sake,
Don't get your national insurance until 16.
but there's a rule out there. Don't quote me on this, but there's a rule out there that basically.
You got a big warehouse. I'm gonna take a little search in there.
Exactly. But apparently, because if you look at the tax situation, basically, where you can employ your kid and stuff like that, basically, because at the end of the day, if you actually have a company and you got sort of your loved ones and stuff like that, how will they get the experience if they're not climbing up and learning something, basically? If you see what I mean? Because so much of us, even if you're a van man, you bring your son or your daughter on Saturday to work with you, basically. Not necessarily asking them to lift up in the boxes, but just for the experiences, basically. So I'm not saying that they're allowed to work in this country fully, but they're allowed to get the experience like that.
Okay.
Oh, definitely.
Okay.
It's- it's what I mean.
That's different. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So not like going to work and waiting at the bus stop. You know what I'm saying? But but
I'll give you
basically,
a boss about wages.
yeah, pretty much basically. But I mean, you know, so leaving St. Martin and then go back to Jamaica now. That was a different ball game. My mum sorted me out right there, because right there I went back with a different focus. So from 2008 to 2000, that 2 years of staying in school, basically, I was totally a different kid. I don't know how.
Yeah, purpose, isn't it?
Pretty much basically, and I see that the bar will not come like that. You see what I'm saying? And then I see that I would have to go back to St. Martin and become like a construction worker, because bear in mind I don't speak French and I don't speak Dutch, and that's my future right there.
Yeah.
And I'm just thinking to myself, oh, I don't think I like this construction thing. You know what I'm saying? So I thought to myself, you know what? I need to get a bit more serious. So I turned to computer, you know, and then I get introduced to computing, and then I look at software called a print shop, and then I start designing like a flyer, look at this, look at that, Jamaican way, look at dance flyer.
What was the first flyer you designed?
The first flyer design was like a raven Maharia basically, but it wasn't flyers, it was posters then.
Yeah.
So we actually used to do like, you know, A3 paper, black and white as well, and things like that. But then what actually happened is,
Is it A4 paper or?
you know, it was the A3, so it was actually,
okay.
but it was actually American size. They call it legal paper, so it was like the longest size paper. But the funny thing is, no one in my community actually knew at the time that when you design a flyer and print it, you can afford a copy of that flyer. So
Then again, you can do what?
so say you design a flyer,
Yeah.
and you print out one copy,
Yeah.
you can just take it to a photocopy shop and just photocopy loads of
Okay.
it.
Yes.
But that wasn't the case.
Thing to do.
No one know that. So what I used to do, the printing, the ink used to be that expensive, so we used to print one out of school, go to the library and photocopy
Yeah.
that flyer. So I start photocopying that flyer, and I sell so many of that flyers. So say for instance you need 500 flyer, and the photocopy guy charges me, I don't know, say $5 per copy. I'll charge you 10. But I'll tell you, wait here, I'll come back.
Yeah. Yeah. Come back.
Yeah, and then
Yeah.
but and you so even when you come back for a rerun, you want to go to the photocopy shop, you come back and see me.
So this
I'll
was
be like, wait here.
the first business venture.
Yeah, that was my
Yeah.
first business venture.
Yeah.
So in school, I become this money kid of this basically. You know what I'm saying? So I never need no lunch money no more.
Yeah.
Hack me.
Yeah, basically. So I was
Yeah.
just photocopying. But because you have to come to me for the master,
Yeah.
so because no one was actually at the computer literate at the time, and I actually learned computer.
Yeah.
Not much, just
But not to do what
yeah,
you need to
yeah,
do,
yeah,
yeah.
pretty much basically. And that sort of for 2 years straight, that run really. I was late one day, and someone realized what I was doing, and that killed my business there. So you need to be on time. You know what I'm saying? But basically, that was my first little venture
Yeah.
of accumulating a certain amount of, and then that's my first love for print. So when I came to England, now I started bringing back these flyers. I'm a designer. So when I come down and pick up like J Fly and look at my fly, I'm thinking, no,
Yeah.
I'm not really that much.
Don't worry, it's the
All
boss.
right.
Don't worry.
Man went.
I tried.
Yeah.
That's why I'm like, whoa, you know, these guys are the real thing.
Yeah.
Because at the time, you can't buy so much ink in the Caribbean. You have to be black and white. These things was colourful and
So when you came over here
yeah.
with Jay's flyers, the first set of flyers that you became accustomed to.
Yes, so Jay and a few more designers.
Yeah.
Because it was Jay, it was actually Creative Skill at the time.
Yeah.
And those guys basically was, and Two Elite basically, there's a guy called Two Elite. Those was the first.
I haven't heard of Black Tulip for ages.
Exactly, so the
Exactly.
He had Eddie Icon Graphics as well.
Icon Graphics as well basically.
Yeah, indeed.
And then after you have Patrick, I think it's called Pat's Artwork at the time, but he was from Creative Skill, you have Faz, you have Ashley.
There's a whole history. I mean,
Yeah,
there's
and
a
even
whole
Sean the B as well, Big Lead.
Yeah,
So
Big
those
Lead,
are the
yeah.
flyers I normally used to pick up. And I remember contacting Sean the B
Couple
as
names
well.
I don't even know those
Yeah.
names, but these guys do. Yeah.
We got a shout out Mode 24. Is it Mode 24?
Mode 24, whoa.
Ricardo?
Yeah.
Yeah, man, Mode 24, but
Ransom Graphics was
Ransom.
probably one. I mean, look, if we're talking about the history of flyers, like, I patterned my thing off of seeing the clear print, but I just changed up what I did. So there used to be a photocopy company called Clear Print,
yeah,
and their claim to fame was doing these little flyers, which was basically just black and white text,
yeah,
but on coloured paper,
yeah,
and then photocopy that. But for me, when I joined First Edition,
yeah,
they had the little one colour rope print,
yeah.
but
I
I
remember
was
the
running it twice.
Yeah, oh.
Two colours, you know what I'm saying?
You never
And
get a fit on it. You just,
yeah. But, you know, I taught a guy called Lee
Rest in peace.
Rest in peace, Lee,
Yeah, man.
to design. He in turn taught Ranson.
Yeah.
This is how he
Yeah.
story. And then Ranson, obviously, I'm sure Faz was Faz not working for Ranson. That's the part I can't remember. But obviously, Creative Skills came out of that was Faz, Patrick, and I can't remember the third guy. But yeah,
Because I remember Ashley as well. So I don't know if Ashley was a part of the Creative School, but I met
Yes.
Faz and Ashley
yes,
at the time, basically. And then I met other guys, basically, like I met Mr. Alpo, all those guys, basically. I met those guys after,
Yeah,
basically.
yeah.
But saying that, anyone in London that do any sort of designing,
That side, because you got, yeah.
I mean, anyone in London that do any sort of designing would possibly outcome maybe 90 or 99% of designers would eventually would pass through my company
Yeah.
at some stage, basically. But in the early days, no. But I start off by picking up these guys' flyers before I can produce these guys' flyers. I was more a fan.
Research,
Yeah, you was a fan for a little while.
I was
before
even
you
in
became
research.
a
I
man.
was more a fan. I was actually literally a fan. I remember I picked up Sean B flyer and he had a style because I loved design at the time. I never really love print. I love design more than print.
Yeah.
So Sean B flyer was like he used to go with a big text with a big letter at the like a big letter at the top. Like it would start off with a G and it actually have a massive. Julian flyers was more like sort of colourful and stuff like that because it was more like the raving dancehall type of thing.
Yeah.
And then I see that Julian and Royal Power flyer was like similar like there. And then I find out the two of them was working on the same office at the time.
So what happened is, Ian came to check me. Ian's flyers in the beginning, like obviously, same thing. He's trying to think, but he's in the world.
Yeah.
So it makes sense, isn't it? He's in that world. So
Yeah.
everybody checking in for flyers. So he's just doing his thing still. But then, and this is what I love about community because he said, "Can I come and?"
Yeah.
And he was in my office. But through him being in my office, this is mad because through him being in my office,
Yeah.
I met Sheldon.
Yeah.
Do you get what I'm saying? So and Sheldon, me and Sheldon are like lifelong friends. But Sheldon,
So Sheldon is
Sheldon's
actually
videographer. So World Power.
World
World Mag.
so is because I remember Sheldon. I think it's Peter Popper or something. Is that the same Sheldon?
No, you're talking about Stratford Rex.
Just for Bricks. Because I remember all those flies used to come true.
So Sheldon is World Mag, part of World Power Sound.
Yeah.
But Ian was in my office for a good few months, and he picked up the trade. And listen, that man is just he went with it. He went with it.
Strength to strength, yeah.
Because there's a style, there's a pattern. Even though I just produce these flyers, so I chose my towel a long time ago, basically. But I analyze all the flyers because I love. It's not just basically. It's not because I make money off what I do. I have a natural love for it first.
Yeah.
If you see what I mean.
Yeah.
That's the key to business.
Yeah, but pretty much. I could literally, because I remember, but then the thing is, basically, what makes us unique as a company and as a flyer company, basically, at the time, before we even become a flyer company, it was trying to find out what it is that these guys are missing. And I would actually then, facilitate for that, basically.
Okay, yeah.
So,
how hard was that though?
It wasn't hard because these guys was easy. Well, my market research was my guinea pig was them.
Yeah.
And I'm producing flies and speaking to them every time.
Yeah.
And I always have a good relationship with all my customers.
Right, so before you went there, so
Yeah.
you had a market store, didn't you?
I had a market store. That's long
let's
before
start, let's
that.
start from the market.
From the market store. My life is a bit crazy because obviously I'm an immigrant basically in that sense. And I came over here. I don't have my mum and dad don't have it like that to say, right, I'm going to start you off, I'm going to set you up in an office, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
It wasn't like that. It was like a case that my market stall was a job. Like that was like my 9 to 5, if you want to call it that, basically. That was my hustle.
Mm-hmm.
So in terms of my 9 to 5, basically, it was actually based on, I'm just trying to find something to do, something to hit.
The
So
funny thing is that most of it, when you listen to most of these billionaires, it's immigrant stories because they didn't have it.
Yeah.
So that the work ethic is different than someone who's born into it.
Totally. Because think about it, yeah. My landlord is coming. It's £50 a week. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I need to get that £50.
Yeah.
You know what I'm trying to say? So
By hook
that
or
is the motivation.
There's no backup.
You know what? I'll tell you a true story. I called my mum. I said to my mum, my landlord's going to kick me out. I'm struggling with my rent. Seriously. My mum laughed and said, "Oh, you're a Marley. You figure it out." And I'm thinking like, Mum.
Yeah, she rates you. Yeah.
And that's what she said to me. And I'm thinking, Mum, you don't understand. He's going to kick me out this weekend. I owed him about £200. And she just, that was her response. I thought she was going to send me to Western Union. And I'm looking forward to this money. And she was like, no, you're a woman, you figure it out. And that was a crazy thing because
Life lessons, isn't it?
I went to St. Kingsland Market. When I saw Kingsland Market, I thought, yeah, this is it. I basically used to walk in the market and I met this Turkish guy called Gian. Gian was a little bit older than me, but he wasn't that much older than me, basically. And he worked for another guy that basically had a shop in Finsbury Park. And he said to me, come and see me. I explained my situation to him and tell him that, boy, I really need something to do. And he'd be like, yo, come and see me. I'm going to introduce you to my boss because in Elephant and Castle, a guy leave and then you could get the market stall there. I'd be like, all right, I'll come and see you. So I went and see him. And then he's like, you know, so-and-so boss, blah, blah, blah. The boss be like, no, like, you know, the boss wasn't feeling it.
Yeah.
So I'll be like, don't worry, Gian, it's okay. And Gian was mad. He was like, come on, we can just give it a start. But at the time, he was selling trousers and jeans and stuff like that, basically.
Which was basically, he was shifting a lot at that time.
He was shifting a lot at the time. And I just need a job. So if he give me like even £10 to work in the store, I'll take it.
Yeah.
I just need money. You know, them times there's £2 for a chicken. So, I just, you know what I'm saying? So I work out that about £5 a day, I could live. You know what I'm saying? It's very basically. Just for the day, basically. So you could get a baby chicken for £2, you know, on Blackstock Road.
Nice.
So, you know what I'm saying? So I just need £2. And plus, you know, 3 quid could actually let me survive for a day. And I used to buy a bus pass for like 70p and move around for the whole day bus pass. So that's how I get to know London as well, as buy the bus pass and travel straight around London. So anyway, he said to me, no, you can't, you can get the job or whatever the case is. I thought, yeah. So then he told me, hey, you know, in Hackney Wick, there's a market on Sunday. So come and see me, man. So I went and see him at Hackney Wick, and I thought, wow, is this a Hackney Wick around? I'm thinking, I love this.
I open up.
Yeah, this is like Jamaica. This is like people just selling. And I'm thinking, I can do this. So I went to Commercial Street, and then I got my first £80 basically.
What did you just say? Commercial Road Street.
Yeah, Commercial Road Street, like
We're all
together.
yeah.
One of the
It's a
things.
new road, you ain't heard that?
No.
So basically, it's literally, you know, Hallgate, Heath, and all.
Okay, yeah, I thought so.
Yeah, those was like the capital for wholesalers.
Yeah.
You could buy anything there. So I figured that out by my research. I was actually talking to a lot of people.
Yeah.
And then I went there and you could buy phone calls. You remember you used to buy the banana phone calls?
Yeah.
And you used to buy them for £5 and call Jamaica. And if you call and the person pick up
The
it's
scratch card one. Yeah.
So I'm buying those over there like for like maybe £2 or something at the time. I can't even remember the figures. And I used to be selling them for £5 or £6. So I used to be buying. So my first initial £80 was to invest in Commercial Street. And then go and sell it in at the Wick Market.
As what the phone cards, that's what he's doing.
I bought so many things. And Eviso was actually just getting big.
Yeah.
And Avrix jockey, do you remember that?
Yeah.
So all that basically, my friend had an American clothes shop in Dalston as well.
Yeah.
And he started off in the market. O'Neill, shout out to O'Neill, you know, my brother for life. He literally had that shop. And then there was another American clothes shop called Frankie, a guy close to Nando's basically in. Yeah. So all those guys there, Sean there as well. Those guys because I used to live just opposite there. You know,
This is all on Kingston High Road.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I basically used to, as soon as you know, if you're black, I'm talking there. Versus if you're my age, basically, you know what I'm saying. So I'm learning England real quick and fast. I'm just here for a year, so I'm just learning, and then basically I start picking up stuff there, and I'm getting some stuff on consignment as well, and that's when I start. That was my first introduction into the market, basically. And then that is time when I just want to make, my first bit is like £80 I invest. I went back to the market and I make the same £80 back the first day. And then the second time around, I make 120 the second week. It was only on a Sunday.
Yeah.
It was only one day. So I started thinking to myself, wow, if I could make £500, I'll be rich.
Yeah.
Because, you know, I never see £500 in my life. And that's all I want to make, £500. So I went to that market that day. I had some stock. You know, I stacked up, hold my money, but pour it back inside there.
Yeah.
And you remember back in the days, you have DJ K Slate, you have all these Americans.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I got some CDs, some mixtape, all that type of thing.
And
And then, you know, like basically, and then, you know, basically it was a battle between basically Nas, and Jay-Z. And then all that sort of thing, that mixtape was coming out basically every day. But then because these
So
guys
you was one of the mixtape kids on the
pretty much basically.
market.
Yeah, so basically I couldn't afford the market, so I was actually right by the bus terminus. So I was actually on the road.
Okay.
So everybody used to come and be like, yo, have you got the latest? But because I had connection to the guys in the American clothes shop that's selling the EV, so they go to America. I'm getting the latest mixtape.
Yeah.
And because I'm getting them the latest mixtape now, basically, but then at the time, they used to sell it to me for a price. I used to go sell it back. So people used to, so I built up a reputation of the guy who getting stuff from America. Like, and we did it, and I'm thinking, right. So I started making more money off that
than
everything else, basically. And then a guy saw me one day and said, he must be actually looking at me like I'm going strength to strength. And then then basically people used to just turn up in the market and said, oh, do you have a job? And I spot the opportunity that everyone turned up, all these young guys turned up, all these young black boys turned up and like, hey, you have a job? Like, yeah. So I thought, if I could get some more tables and just get more stock, I could just give them and charge them £1 each on top of what I'm always selling for. So if I could, shift all the 200-300 units like that, I would have £200-300 in my pocket. You know what I'm saying? So that's helped to build up there. And then after I discover I had a aspect of it that I wasn't making any money in the week. So I discovered barber shops. So I started giving the barbers them consignment stock. And then with the barbers, they do the consignment stock. And I'm picking up some money during the week. And then my wife, basically, my girlfriend at the time, she, to be honest with you, I could tell you about a lot of things. But if you ask me what is my best asset, I would actually say it's my wife. Because
me too.
That is an investment that I make without even knowing that I'm making this investment. And that is the biggest thing that paid off.
Off camera, I'm just saying. I'm just saying.
You know what I'm saying? You can't tell the future, but when you see what the future brings, you have to just be humble. And I think that's what it actually is, because, and when you actually have someone that you could actually say, I'm going to fly, you don't have any wings, I'll be like, yeah, you're going to fly, okay. No problem. I think you can do it. A little bit of naivety, but a little bit of encouragement.
Backbone.
So
how many years has that relationship been then?
Good question, and you know what? You're gonna get me divorced now.
I hear you.
Say for instance, I'm actually in England. The best part of 22 years. I probably have that relationship for 21 years. You know, so I think I think that's what it is. And if you and if your guys could even back me up here, wherever you all used to come and see me, every day in the shop used to be me and her. We used to travel to work in one car. Because I never used to drive. I never have a driving license for years. So she's doing the driving. I'm actually selling out of the back of her boat. But that was long before we even have a business. But that used to be, I used to make more money then than what I do, but it's now, because I never used to have the overhead. You know what I'm saying? So even if I make $1 million now, I still have to pay something out of it, like, overhead wise. But at the time, that was clean, nice, straightforward money.
And you know what's good about that is we're talking about, when we think of road money, we don't think about it in this kind of term. Do you know what I mean? So exactly. So when you talk about road money, you're doing road money without selling drugs. I definitely give you that too.
Funny you actually say that. I used to have a saying that I could sell a CD to my grandma. I can't sell her drugs.
Good point. Good point.
I would have more customers to actually sell things to that I sell.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? And I think that's what it actually is. And the old school lovers records and all those things used to be great for me.
So how long was you at the market still for?
My market career wasn't long because they closed the market and I only get 6 months out of it. So I only get 6 months out of it. Then I moved to Wembley Market and then they opened the stadium. And that was a blow as well. Then after that, I said, right, I have to do something. I said,
but when they opened the stadium, wouldn't you still be able to sell?
Yeah, I was, but then the thing is because before they opened the stadium, they kept moving the market. So from a location of my stall, people never know where to find me again. So that really put a real damper on my business. The location is the key. And if I know you're here this week, I'll come back and look for you here this week. So, but that was good times basically.
Yeah.
But I done a lot of things otherwise from that because people start seeing you now and want to network with you. So, you know, my early stages, someone said, "Come and see me in the week." I'm thinking, I'm Jamaican. I'd like them to come and see me.
Yeah.
I'm thinking, okay, I'll still go.
Yeah.
I think, you know, I'm curious. And I went and see the guy. The guy said to me, "I have these things." And he opened the door and it was like tons of stuff, like random stuff. And he was like, "I want to get rid of them. I'll give you the full price."
Yeah.
I said, I don't drive. He said, "Don't worry. I'll bring them to the market for you. We make a price on them. Whatever you don't sell, I'll take them back." So I just got workers there and I put them on that stall. And this thing was like, this thing was everything. I don't even, there was just random stuff. Like he had like, the only way to tell you, he was a clothes wholesaler. And he had stock maybe for 100 years old, basically. But but we throw them out and we put them out there and we actually start selling. We started off like, say, 40 pounds, 10 pounds, so it was like the pound line of the market. And then basically we start tickling them. So that when I make probably the most money at one stage, you know, in one day. Because those items wasn't like CDs, there was bigger amount items basically, individually. And so that cash was great at the time. And so at the time I developed this thing for selling. And because I developed this thing for selling now, it was like everything I touched basically. So we turn out, if you don't work this week, we'll work next week.
So you kind of like the ultimate hustler.
When you're hungry, you're going to hustle.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know, basically when you're hungry, you're going to hustle.
But you're hustling into a point where people are watching you and say, "Yo, can you send my batch now?" Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, pretty much basically, because if you think about it basically, if you're actually great at something, then you automatically attract other people that want to do the same thing.
Yeah.
If you see what I mean. So you don't have to do much to do that, you just have to do the right thing. And when you actually do the right thing basically, you're not really knowing that because the fear of being broke again, that's what actually drove me.
Okay.
So, and when you touch the lamp, as they said in Jamaica, when you know the lamp, the shade ain't touching it, it's hot, it burn you. You're gonna be reluctant to touch it again. So once you know that everything's dependent on this, even when you're out of the doghouse, you don't know that you're out of the doghouse.
Yeah.
You're still grinding like you're like it's your first day.
Yeah.
So what was the next adventure then? So you've
So
done the market,
done the market.
market run.
But you know what I find so great about that?
Yeah.
People talk about the wanting to be rich. We don't ever hear anybody talk about the fear of being broke so much, and that's what increases their money. Do you know what I mean? So I like that.
Yeah,
Right.
the fear. I still have a fear of being broke.
Yeah.
And to be honest with you, when I look back at it, I wasn't that broke,
And that
because I
means you
never
always-
really
that means you
suffered
always
for too
swim.
long.
You always swim because of it.
Pretty much, basically. And but the thing is, if you look at life, basically, like the newer kids that we're talking about now, they probably go to uni or they haven't gone to uni, but they probably read a book or whatever the case is, and they probably know how to sort the thing out. It's like a rough footballer, which is natural skill.
Yeah.
But you go up, you bring him to the right academy, and you sort out the coaching and sort out that bit, basically.
Yeah.
I haven't really been coached. So, but I'd reached to a stage where I wasn't a student no more in that sense, but I was still living as a student.
Yeah.
Because at the time, that same 50 pounds that my landlord was going to kick me out, we never moved to that house until Cool got pregnant, basically. When she got pregnant, now we thought, right, we have to get out of the house. So now we start thinking about more safety now, basically, and more professional or whatever the case is.
I thought they'd probably give you a council house in them times.
Yeah, but at the same time, now she's from Kent.
Okay.
But at the same time, I never really, to be honest with you, if I didn't have guidance, I'm like, at the time, say, I don't know, 18, 19, 20, I never know no one that, you know, that would actually look at me and say, "Marland, don't do this, do that," basically. And to be honest with you, and quite frankly, I never see anyone. You'd never see me. Only time you're going to see me if you're going to spend some money with me. I'm home.
Yeah.
I'm home, and even my wife now, basically, she never know that she got a street kid that been on road and love road.
Yeah.
Because when I started making basically money, I'd never been on the road. I was always home,
Yeah.
trying to figure something out, or just leave my house to go to Commercial Street, come back home, trying to package my thing up to go back to market, basically. So my whole event was market, basically, and the whole lifestyle when my wife came in to my life, like fully to live, we was actually preparing for this thing. So we always been preparing for this massive war. You know what I'm saying? And this war against we and the customers just to sell these products.
Simple, but be prepared, isn't it?
Yeah, so that's what it is. And then so basically moving on from that, we basically say, right, baby's on the way. No, we need it. So we so my wife at the time went to the bank and said, basically I bought a machine. I bought the first of the printing machine before that. And we was actually printing some stuff. Like little stuff, because you have a love for print, and you was trying to print little baby printers, printing some stuff. But then we needed some bigger machine, bigger everything, and things like that. So I thought, okay, then my wife got pregnant. Now we need to take this thing officially. We need to open up a shop.
Yeah.
So my first thing now, hence I'm going to meet Julie and them now and everything like that. So we open up a shop. But before we open up a shop, now we need to go into the shop and prove to the guy that we could pay this rent. So I don't have any history of
nothing like that. Yeah.
If you see what I mean. So. And I don't know where to turn.
Yeah.
So my wife actually went to our bank, and then she had she saved up. I think she saved up about £1,000 or £1,500 at the time. And then the bank need to give you a statement to prove to the landlord that you can afford a 10-year lease. But this lease was £125,000 for the lease for the duration of the 10 years, basically. Okay, it was £12,000 a year. And it's 10 years basically, 12,500 a year basically. So it was actually 125,000, and she needed to prove that. So I'm saying, yeah. But I'm thinking 125,000. That's a lot of money.
That's like
I'm saying so. But anyway, we met the landlord. The landlord, like Jewish guy, Mr. Risden. He like, okay, it's what a business. We're like,
his name Mr. Wisdom.
Mr. Risden.
Oh, okay.
And he's like, yeah. So I'm saying, we were printer, blah, 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 all that sort of thing, all that sort of talk. I said, we just want to move from, because I did have a little office where we store our market stuff, and I'll be like, we want to move into a bigger place, and business taking off, whatever the case is. But that was a dream, you know what I'm saying? But at the same time, he said, okay, provide me a bank statement, blah, 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 and I'm thinking, okay, we need a bank statement. I don't know bank account, but I need a bank statement. So anyway, I said my wife had a little basic account or whatever the case is at times. So we went to the bank, and I don't know what actually happened, but she talked to someone in the bank, and then they said, okay, they're going to look at other family member if they have other accounts in the bank or whatever. I wasn't there, so all I do know is she come back with a bank statement of 12,000 basically. You know what I'm saying? So she came back with a bank statement of 12,500, exactly a full month, a full year rent.
Yeah.
We showed Mr. Rizzo, and Mr. Rizzo said, okay, no problem, sign us off.
Yeah.
It wasn't like now where things is, a lot of credit check and all that down there. So he signed us off, which was great, and we moved in. But we have accommodation upstairs and downstairs.
Okay, so basically the living property is upstairs, the property where you lived upstairs, and then downstairs is your actual office.
Yeah, it's a shop. Yeah,
perfect.
So that was actually a big move for us.
Yeah.
So we moved out of the house and moved into this place. We was there for about 14 years, and basically we developed that business there. So 2005, after we start approaching you all guys, that was actually the first initial investment there. That was about 35,000 to invest in a machine there. So like, we bought this machine, but the shop never had the right power to run the machine.
No.
So,
three-phase.
Yeah. So this machine sit there for 6 months.
Yeah.
And then they tell us that we're gonna have to pay like 7,000 to get this electric in. So we ended up digging the road, burst the pipe, blah blah blah. Anyway, we actually got the electric in.
What old school style,
Yeah, we dig up the road and burst up the pipe and pay to actually fix back the pipe, all of that sort of thing. Anyway, what actually happened, it worked out, we start printing. We start approaching you all guys now. I remember I called up, is it Too Elite? And I said, hey, where you come from? I'm going to print the flyer. And he said, I don't have no time to come and see you. I'm getting the flyers for £80. You can match £80? I'd be like, okay, I'm going to call you back. And I thought, £80? How is that £8? And then I spoke to another guy and said, yeah, there's a company called TG doing this for £80. I'm thinking, how? I start going to all the print shows and stuff like that now. And I thought, you know what, these are enough for us. So we started finding some other stuff that we could put on the machine. There was only like 2 colors. So that took us about, I don't know, 2 to 3 years to even go and approach about the flyer market. So now when we then, but because I was always thinking, I need to look the part. So I would be looking around and looking at what I'm up against and thinking, I need a factory that, So when you actually came and see that factory now, with that machine, that investment now, that was 3 years of the grinding to actually get there. And then, but I met a guy called Alex, shout out to Alex, the lovely guy. He actually said to me, I went to buy my first 2 color from him. I bought it, all my money, bam, went to the deal. I called him back up and said, Alex, you know, but that was about, as I said, about just over a year or so. But I've been bugging him about 9 months into it. You know, I need to see this.
So money's getting generated to pay Alex, what, from the little machine that's now working?
It's still working.
And have you got staff as well?
No, yeah, 1 actually. But my wife was basically doing most of the stuff. I'm doing most of the other stuff. And then we have 1 designer that come in, and I'm saying to him, you need to design like this. You know, I'm buying out your guys' flyers. I need this flyer looking like this. And he's saying, oh, 3D Studio Max, and he started doing a design, but he wasn't really getting it basically. And I realized, he's a good 3D guy, but it was more to do with sculpture and stuff like that. And I said, yeah, you can do it. So I'm trying to turn him into that. And I realized that I could never design enough flyers to produce on the printing machine and make profit. So I find that I would have to turn to the designers and get so I have to scrap the whole design idea for the flyers and then become a factory to produce these flyers. So when I sat down and I was
trying to match the £80 budget,
pretty much basic. So I realized that's where I need to go be it, because no matter how much I'm trying to produce 2 color and then produce 2 more colors to make full color and on a print. From as soon as the paper went through the machine, it's too slow. So to go back through in a second time now, basically,
it's all day.
It's like I'm trying to use a car to run a bus job, basically, and compete with London Transport. It's not going to work. You see what I'm trying to say? So straight away, now I thought, okay then, scrap that for a minute, leave it on the shelf, try to make back the money that you invest, the 35,000 you invest now, find some other clients. So we find that we could find state agent, we could find corners, the little 2 color jobs. The money was great in that one, but my love was still in the dancehall flyers and the R&B flyers and stuff like that, because I thought until I'm doing that, I'm not printing. So that was my thing. Like, I need to do that. So eventually we start producing those flyers by Alex come back and said, okay, I'll give you about the same 35,000 for the machine, but I need to take out the installation fee. So he took out about $7,000 for the installation fee, and he said that he's going to sell me like a machine for 75,000. But then what you need to do is I need to give him back the machine and make up back the money. Anyway, I save, and then I find the machine plus some cash that would come up to about 50,000. And then I gave that to Alex, and he bring me to show me a machine, but I wasn't going to buy the machine. He bring me to show. So he brought me to show a total different machine, which was about 55,000.
Okay.
Then he said to me, I got a hundred and you need to have a look at it. It's about 85,000. So when we went to look at the machine, it was double the size. Boom, boom, boom. I said, yeah.
What was that called?
The MO. So that's the machine now, basically, that I'm like, yeah, that's the one. I could compete with the biggest sheets. So I'm like, yeah. So I can't afford it.
How did you get clued up about what machine's good and the specs and all that by this time?
It's the
only got a couple shows you mentioned.
Yeah, but the thing is, honestly, if I could break into your house just to look at your machine, if you have one in there, I would. So where I could go in a printer, I would make my excuse just to get in the printer, just to walk around and just see something.
And it's a small circle, isn't it?
It's a small circle, and I even have to come and buy a job from you just to see your machine out.
Yeah.
Because
did you do that with TG Print?
With TG Print, that was a different thing. I met TG Print such a late time, basically. If I didn't meet TG Print before, it would actually be better. But when I went to Dave, basically, Dave had a Speedmaster.
Rest in peace, Dave.
Yeah, rest in peace, Dave, as well. He had a Speedmaster at the time.
Right.
But Dave kit was so expensive that Speedmaster was always a dream machine of mine. But that was like mega money. That was like sort of maybe 600,000-700,000 at the time. Possibly millions if you know what I knew. So, my money was nowhere there. You know what I'm saying? So, but at the same time, you learn from. But the thing is, when you sort of meet, it's only so much dealers that sell these machines. So once they know you're a printer, you could go and look at any machine. So I did have Alex driving from here to like Bolton, wherever. I'm going all over in Alex Core because the rule is, I pick you up if I'm a salesman and I drive you to go see this machine in a printer. And you could actually go and see 20 machines and don't buy it. So, but because I bought the first one from Alex took me about 2 years to buy another one from him. But he was still bringing me around, showing me these machines. So I see the great London country, the great English countryside by looking for machines.
Okay.
I went everywhere just to look for machines.
Yeah.
And going inside of printers to look at their basically old machines.
Was you driving at that point?
I wasn't driving.
Okay.
I never drove. like maybe my first 10 years in England.
Okay.
You know, literally, basically.
So
And-
how did your love for flyers, because obviously like you said, you love the flyers and you love design stuff. How did that change to the actual production? Because
That's a good question.
me and my brother,
Yeah.
Danny, we worked for First Edition.
Yeah.
Danny worked downstairs, I worked upstairs.
Yeah.
I could not do what Danny does.
Yeah.
Sitting down,
Yeah.
watching the press,
Yeah.
do the same thing over and over.
Yeah.
I had to be upstairs.
You're doing all the
creating
computer stuff, yeah.
and doing something that
Yeah.
was changing
Yeah.
on a day-to-day basis. Where Danny
Yeah.
loved just like print minding.
Yeah, remind me now. The thing is, this is the thing. When I open up the shop, I open up the shop with the intention that I'm going to design and print. That's what I open up the shop for. Yeah, I thought I'm going to design and print. But then I discovered that I ain't never going to make no money out of no designing. Because first thing first, we can't design in this way. We don't have the concept. And design is a concept. We don't have that style. And then we design one flyer. We design a flyer for a guy called Versace. And he bring down loads and loads and loads of pictures. I mean, a million pictures, a big bag of pictures. And then when we finished the first week,
Mikey Versace.
we designed the first week. Seriously, when we designed the first week of Versace, he came back the second week and said he want to change all the photos, almost all the photos, because they don't look too good.
This was a weekly thing at Click.
And you know what? I paid $250 for that flyer to my designer for that week. And then she's going to start a new week.
You paid what?
Yeah, I paid $250. So basically,
Money.
so I paid $250 for that wages that week. And then he's going to basically do a new week. So that's 500 quid. That Versace flyer cost me. And that was a lesson right there.
Yeah.
And I said to myself, we was charging about £80 for the design or 100 at the time, something like that. And I can't see how was I going to ever do that.
See, between myself, Ian, and Shawnee, we used to have these regular conversations about this picture thing.
Yeah,
Because one of my customers, Milky was the first man that came to me and brought pictures to design the flyer. Yeah. So before that, I've been doing alright, so big up Boy George. Boy George, a promoter, done Dance Bass Odyssey versus Travellers and somebody else. That was one of the first like Jamaican sound flyers I did. But the trend was you brought the pictures of the sounds.
yeah,
Cool, because it promotes it.
yeah,
Then after that, we did, from that job, I got World Cup Clash. So we did World Cup Clash flyers. And then I got an influx of different dancehall flyers coming in. Milky, these are on the shop on
Westbury Road, yeah.
He'd been seeing, like, he brought me a New York flyer, but the New York flyer was black and white.
yeah,
But it had faces of the people that were celebrating the birthday. He brought in some pictures and said, yeah, I want you to do a flyer.
yeah,
So, as far as I could say, in terms of our dancehall scene,
yeah,
Milky was the first man
yeah.
that was like, this is what we're
Like
doing.
pioneered that
We're
sort
taking
of thing.
our friends,
Yeah,
not the DJs.
yeah,
We're taking our friends and we're going to put
Making
them on
them
this flyer.
flyers, yeah.
yeah. So he
As
was
much as it was innovation and created, and
yeah,
it was the nightmare. It
That's
was
the nightmare of it.
start
The
of
gift and the curse. The gift
It
and the
was, yeah.
curse.
yeah.
Because-
But that's the thing that turned me off it.
because upon year,
Yeah,
like it starts with your key friends.
yeah,
So Milky brought 5 people
yeah.
for his flyer.
And then it turned into
By the
500.
time we're running Click,
Yeah,
there's like between man like Parrot, Hypey, we call him now. Karkali, and some of these other girls. Literally, they were bringing like 100 pictures.
Yeah.
100
And at the time, because there was no precedence for how this thing works,
Yeah.
I was just doing it, scanning, cutting out, scanning, cutting out.
Because at the time you just happened to get the job.
Yeah.
And I think that's what it is. And then because what actually
It's
happened.
also fresh ideas as well, kind of thing. So
Yeah.
let me just see what I can make in this.
Yeah,
But
pretty
then
much.
I
Creativity kicks in.
realised that after the staff had gone home, I'm still inside this office cutting out flyers.
Because I remember I used to be
started designing.
Yeah, I used to be waiting on you all guys at some mad time, and you all work late. I'm gonna have to work late.
Yeah.
Because
It's a knock-on effect.
and I think that's where the beauty about where my business is growing, because you all guys was buying flyers from people that you all guys couldn't speak to. So when I came into the game basically with a printer, my feedback from you all guys was like, you all speaking to like one of you all guys. So it was a case of, 10 more minutes, half more hour. And half more would turn into 2 hours. And that still cost the base money, because I would be waiting and I can't let the staff go home and they're still on the hourly clock. But then the trick about it is to deliver that flyer, because Julian would be, I don't know, he would be, say for instance, a 2,000 or 3,000 pounds a week, for me basically, and my basically, basic turnover.
And look, before you even go into it, let me give you a little round of applause though, because again, rest in peace, Dave, TG Print.
Yeah.
He was the GOAT when it came to like printing flyers.
Yeah.
You done a DMX, you came, you opened up shop, and that was it. It was like a done deal.
Yeah.
And obviously, we all wanted to support you because obviously we wanted to keep the community based. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I think you matched him as well.
No, you did.
In terms of, because remember, we're
Quality and price.
We're
shopping.
shopping Kings and Ira, but we're shooting down Blackwell Tunnel.
Yeah.
Me and Dodd mainly going up there. Dodd's half asleep, driving the tunnel. Bare times we're nearly crashing the car. Yeah, doing that journey back and forth. Jay as well.
Yeah.
And then
And God forbid, like you said, if you hit the A12 at a particular time,
it's alright. It's alright. But then you've come about, and I don't know who you spoke to first. I don't know who you spoke to
See, the
first.
thing is,
But then when you come about,
so I can't remember who said to call Marland.
yeah.
But when I spoke to you, like you said in the beginning of this thing, we sat and spoke for about a good 2 hours. And mine just broke down, like, in terms of what he was doing still. And it was weird because he just said, yeah, I'm just going to come out the gate. I'm not even going to charge cheap. I'm not trying to thief. Like, I'm just going to, that's the going rate for Gloucesterland. That's what I'm going to charge. I'm going to charge 90.
and it's down the road.
But at the time, obviously, there was like, there's probably, I don't know, Marlon, you might know, but there was probably about 5 of us that was giving you the works that was grids.
Yeah.
So like, we would have 2 or 3 grids a weekend. You know?
Yeah, I remember the grid work.
Good money.
Good money. Good money. Because the grid was actually like 650, and then it was actually 560 was the
So
the
what
grid
you
price.
did, so what you did for me
Yeah.
was that TG didn't do was like, okay, cool. I'm gonna give you 10% of each grid, or
Yeah.
you gave me a price for the grid, which TG was doing,
and
but then you gave me some sort of kickback
Yeah,
for the
I
next
think.
thing after.
Yeah, I think what actually happened was I was always thinking, and then what actually happened is, and everything I'm thinking, I have to arrange with the boss because the boss is the wife, and I'll be like, well, I tell you what,
You can't go around. Like, literally, mine like, can we do this? Can we do this? Like, it's 8 o'clock. Can we do
Yeah,
this?
pretty much basically. And then basically what we used to do was just to say, to guarantee to make these guys stay here, what are we going to do? We're going to change up the game. Julian have a lot of a customer. So what I'm going to do for him is, I'm going to guarantee him that I'm going to calculate up his bill at the end of the week. So if he don't have to wait to send me a full grid. So straight away, Julian business start getting a bit better because I'm printing at the grid price, and he could just keep on kicking them up straight back to us. So straight away now, normally what you all used to do is saving up all his flights till the weekend to save that 60, 70, 80 quid. And I said,
it actually became a game of logistics now, because what was happening as well is between myself and Darren and Dodd, we're now punting for work. Before, the work would just come in. Now, it's like we've got a grid, but there's one A6 missing, so everybody has to get on the phone now.
Yeah.
And even if it's another designer.
Yeah.
So that's where Ian used to come in sometimes. Because like when Ian was just first started, it's like, all right, cool. You know, if you got A6,
Yeah.
send me that A6 now. Don't worry.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Or you're forcing a customer that was looking to print his flyer next week. To,
Yeah, print this week.
Give me your stuff now. You know what I mean?
But the thing is, the trick about it is this. I have a kit that I need full. So say for argument's sake, my kit, it was like, at the time, the Hema was a monster. He could literally print within...
Do this here because customers do not understand this.
Yeah.
Obviously, in terms of the way that the print finance happens, when your printer goes down, how much is that costing you?
This is the problem, basically. So say for argument's sake, we could be running, like, say, $350 a hour. Worth of basically costs, basically.
$350 an hour.
Yeah, $350 a hour.
Cost.
So basically, you know, it all depends what paper going through it. But you could be going, say you're printing Conqueror, you could be going like £750, £1,000 an hour, you know, on the press. So you have to be careful what you actually do, basically. So if you imagine that I'm actually trying to stifle someone to say, or not even say stifle, but I'm trying to, it's not the right word, I'm trying to basically hold out on the £80. But I'm caught, every hour my staff is there, it's costing me like $350 or $500. Or if it's winter, I'm heating the place. So I could be doing, my heating bill basically could be, I don't know, £50 basically per hour. So, and if the press is actually running basically, at the moment we're actually at about, you know, per month we actually had about, I don't know, 9,000 basically per month on the electric bill at the moment. But back then it used to be like 27, you know, like 3, 5, or all depends. And these machines suck. Drink this thing basically, called electric. So it's a numbers game.
Running, it's costing you.
Yeah, so basically, so I have to actually figure something out. And then I'm saying to my wife basically, hey, you know what we should do? Just give Jay and give all of like 5 guys, as Jay said, just say to them straight up that you save £10 on every print if you have a full grid. What I'm saying to Jay, don't fool the grid no more. Just send them, and then as long as you send me that 8 in that 1 week,
I'll make sure
I will calculate on the Monday and straight to Saturday, and I'll just butt the price
that
them
was
off.
a lifesaver.
And then straight away that changed the game again.
That was
Because right there and then these guys not waiting no more. They're just sending flyers. And then I could actually, every hour I could actually maximize. It's like, put it this way, when you have a printing press and you're running it basically, doesn't matter. That's what the cost is. It's a fixed cost. Every production business out there have a fixed cost.
Yes.
And you want to produce the same thing repeatedly. And you don't want to change. You want to produce that same thing repeatedly. And you don't really want to stop and change a tire or anything like that. You want to produce. So the bottom line is, if you know that you're producing for $500 an hour, for argument's sake, and you're basically selling for $600, you only have £100. So you need to produce every hour consistently and make sure you're hitting that target. So if you want, 10-hour shift to have £1,000 at the end. So it don't make no sense you're holding out on Jay because you think you're going to make extra 10 quid off him. You just basically say to him straight away,
Send.
and keep the price where it actually is.
And it's these conversations that me and mine should have that kind of changed the way that I actually sold print, or even how I do it with my customers, because now you understand that this is not Marlon, just wait for me, please, because Darren needs a slide, like it has to happen.
Sorry, you should see Mac's face right now. There's no, took his headphones off. And I've never seen him so shook, man. I've never seen him so shook, man. Sorry.
As I said, it's little things, that even dragged my memory because I never even fully remember that.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's straight away. But every week, I look at my target list, and we need to make certain amount of grids. So our thing was actually trying to do 40 grids per week. So if we're doing 40 per week, basically, a big grid would cost us 2. So if we actually go in 5,000, it would actually be better than the 250 basically.
Yeah.
So we cost us 2. So because we need, and because I'm buying my paper in container from China, I actually have to. I sign.
Oh, is that what you're saying? Yeah.
Yeah. So I
You're
sign.
not using the normal mills.
No, I couldn't do that because I figure out that if I'm buying paper in the UK for £100 1,000, I need to get that paper for £80 1,000. Only way I'm going to get that paper for £80 1,000, I need to put my money where my mouth is. Yeah. So I need to go and buy maybe 20 metric ton or 30 metric ton.
No.
So
Crazy.
this is a part of it as well.
Because what you have to understand, like working in first edition, I saw the price of paper go up exponentially.
Every week.
Like literally, like
Every month.
for instance, one day, you know, you could get a batch of paper that's going to cost you, say for instance, like it's going to cost you $3.70. The next week, that's gone to $5.70 with no explanation. Just that's what it is now, because that's what the cost is.
When did you realise that your mind is actually solution based?
To be honest with you, I think it's from day one, because think about, you know.
No, did you have that realization from day one?
The realization, I think the question is not necessarily in those way that you actually put it there, basically. You evolve after a period of time, but you realize that your strong point is solving problem. If you see what I mean. But I'm good with maths. Maths is my thing.
Yeah.
So I probably struggle at everything else, but when it do come to working out things to the bare minimum, that's the reason why I got into everything I do. So from the market stall, it was always a numbers game. So I'm always playing with some sort of numbers to make it up. I don't make no money of Julian. Julian is just a product,
part of
part of the whole entire pie, basically.
Okay.
I'm baking a cake and I'm selling slices. So at the end of the day, this cake needs to come in for this price, and each slice needs to value this amount, and I can't afford to drop one on the floor, which I will drop one on the floor. But overall, my next cake I bake, I can't raise the price because it's a set price. But so maybe what I might need to do is push for 2 more cake for that week. You see what I'm trying to say? So just to balance things out, basically. But it's become a number game, because all my stuff are coming in at a certain number.
Yeah.
So if you run in a payroll, let's say, I don't know, 25,000, basically for the duration of the month. If you actually run in a paper bill, basically at 25,000 for that month, so maybe this month you're not going to make any money, because maybe you actually basically going 100,000 this month, but your turnover is only 75,000. So you just have to make sure that enough is in the kitty to fuel next month. And then if you can actually hit the same 75 next month without buying the extra metric ton, then you don't make your money until you're the last one to make your money. But it doesn't matter. I never really sat, and in all fairness, I never ever done a business that I sit down and think about the money. Never ever. And maybe this is my sound really weird, but I physically never go to work, you know, one day and think, oh, I want to make money today. I don't see it as that. I work with my product and say, this is what it takes to do this. And once the press is running and this is going through the press, or I'm producing this thing, automatically the money is the reward of, you know, the fruit of the labor.
That's the reason why, because you've worked out the steps that you need to make the money, so you don't have to worry about it as much.
Exactly. So if
your mind is different.
Yeah, if you start thinking about the money, basically, you're just seeing money. You don't know if you're making money.
Yeah.
That's not what it's about. You're producing something, and you just know that it's a numbers game.
Yeah.
If you go to any one of these factories, and they should really tell you the truth, they actually have a target to hit.
Yeah.
And once they hit that target, they should be within some sort of money.
Yeah.
Because there's a basic rule to a time, as I would say, basically, rule to make this thing work.
Yeah.
And for me, it was always, as what Jay's saying, we're working by the hour. We're going to hit 40 or 80 hours for the week, basically. It come at a price.
If you see a Nike flip flop,
I was gonna catch you about that.
Oh, good. But it is.
but part of, I mean, like obviously, all right. So we got introduced to TG Print by Brown. Big up DJ Browning. One day he just came and like, oh, I got this print. And they was in Woolwich, but not the, what was it? They weren't in Woolwich, but they Greenwich, but next Greenwich.
Yeah.
And so we went down there, and obviously, you know.
Sorry, don't cut you. Brown he was a Rasta guy at one point, is he?
No,
it's DJ.
DJ Browning.
Okay, because I know how the Browning design, basically.
Oh yeah, no. He was another one that used to kind of look at my flyers. So respect to that.
Yeah, I like him as well.
I went into his shop. He used to have a shop on Libra Jordan. Yeah.
Oh no, you're talking about a different guy. You're talking about no, you're talking about I can't remember his name, but yeah, him as well. Pick him up as well, basically. Yeah.
But anyway, I mean, one of the things that everyone has to understand is that we as urban designers, flyers, printers, whatever, we weren't privy to get into print presses, because print presses mainly they had credit card contracts. and they're printing
To be honest with
200,
you,
300, 400, 500,000.
yeah, it's to be honest with you, our volume of print doesn't warrant to have a printing press.
Yeah.
You know,
And that's what I was saying.
Yeah.
Because before and
because a printing
in
press
the
print
advent
like say
of
10,000
the
pieces per
internet.
hour,
Yeah, in
and
the
we're
advent-
printing 2005, so it doesn't make any sense.
So in the advent of the internet, that's where the volumes of like the Mastercards, the Visa cards and stuff, their volumes came down in what they have to print, which allowed us to be able to come in and start negotiating deals with printers that we weren't
Yeah,
privy to before. You get what I'm saying? So
And-
when we went to Dave,
yeah,
we kind of negotiated a little bit still, but Dave was very. It was just, this is my price and that's it. And there was no real breakdown of what it was.
Yeah.
Still, Dave would give me a grid price, but again, that's just the formula of what a grid costs kind of
Yeah.
thing still. And as long as we bring that, it's cool still. What was different about Marland was the fact of the conversation and how that worked and why that worked, and it made you want to kind of go out and be part of that system.
Yeah.
Yeah. You made us feel like we're
yeah,
all
part of it
working
basically.
together.
Yeah, pretty much basically. And I think it wasn't even like it was a no-brainer, because think about it. You all guys is my customer. You all guys is all I have. So it wasn't a case that I'm saying you versus a corporate customer. You all guys was my corporate customer. So, and up to today, you all guys still my corporate customer. So it wasn't a case where I'm value one more than the other, basically. It's not like you have two kids and you're saying, I love this one more than this one, and it's only one child. And one child was in many, but this was a child.
And we rate the fact that every Christmas I can come to the shop and I get my bottle of alcohol, whether it's Jack Daniels or brandy.
Yeah, I remember that. I remember. You know what? To be honest with you, funny is that I never remember that. I used to dedicate my last sale, because it was only a short sale, 3 weeks, and whatever profit we actually get that month, that December was the give back basically in the business. So we would actually go to a cash and carry, and we'd actually put like $5 grand on alcohol.
Made me feel bad. We have
You know what I'm
to and send bloody alcohol to our suppliers.
Yeah. So we used to like. So basically, whatever profit,
Great incentive.
whatever profit I get, I would normally. The truth about the thing is, basically, is to me, it wasn't. Nobody was bigger than you all guys, and that's the honest truth, basically. And and I can't really see up to today without you all guys, I wouldn't be here.
Yeah.
Because the whole idea is I spot an opportunity with my own community and figure out that all I did to get you all guys was just be polite. Because you all guys was spending your own money in a place that you all guys was scared to go and pick up.
That's what you need to do, man.
You know what I'm saying?
Put arm around our shoulder. And that's it. He's done it. Just quoting.
Got Dracula, he got two.
You know what I'm saying? So, it's funny. It's so funny that so much people will have this conversation with. And just by being polite, we got so much customer by doing it. I remember I used to...
And genuine, isn't it? It's like, because you can be polite a little more.
Yeah.
If you come across genuine,
Yeah.
and I can go back to Jay, we have a conversation. Yeah, man, that's cool, Blah, 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 blah. That works.
And that makes you want to recommend you to other people.
Yeah, but you know what? I got guys coming...
Know about that. Come to me. I'll
Yeah.
rid of you.
But the next thing is not just by being polite. You could be polite, and then you could be sleazy as well. But what worked for me over the years, if one of Jay customer pop up to buy a flyer off me, I'll call him first.
Yeah, 100.
All right. Then.
And I think because
We were getting at the other place.
yeah,
100.
but Jay and everybody else was more important to me than that one fix.
Yeah.
To get that one job, I'm going to sell it to Jay for maybe 20 quid more cheaper.
Morals and
Yeah.
But the bottom line is Jay putting in probably 50,000 a year
Yeah.
or the flyers basically. So why would I
Meant more to
risk
you,
that?
yeah.
And also as well, there was a little bit of a power shift as well, because what we could do now is a customer could be sitting there who has actually tried to get his flight at a certain time, and I'll call Marland, and Marland like, all right, because I'm going to make sure he gets it. Actually, you weren't
So we have to prioritize the guys and the spenders. And
So now they want to spend with you, and they're willing to pay a little bit extra because they know that, okay, cool, the relationship that you have with your printer means
It's gonna make it work.
I don't cut you, but regardless of what we're gonna say, one main thing that I think, you could correct me if I'm wrong, burst my bubble if I'm wrong, but when we opened on Saturday, we're the only printer in London Everything open on a Saturday.
Okay. Oh.
Till the evening.
Yeah.
The teacher was doing it till 12 o'clock.
Yeah, and then
So basically,
but-
game
but
changer
no,
again.
But there wasn't printed.
That's right.
There wasn't printed.
Yeah, that's right. They
Yeah.
only opening from customer to
For
customer.
collection.
Game changer
right.
again.
So you see,
Game changer
so
again.
that wasn't printed. So but remember, you
Hey,
I know.
Saturdays outside his was like bagels back in the day.
Yeah.
Like
Saturday was crazy.
Congregation of all the promoters.
Saturdays, like literally, we could if you want to literally find who is who.
And who's doing what?
Who's doing what, basically? You gotta come to my place on a Saturday.
True.
And you know the funniest thing
And you
is,
didn't mind waiting because now you're chatting with man.
yeah, pretty much basically.
Cool vibes going on.
Yeah, and you know the funniest thing? You only used to come to my place and see people you don't even see for a long time.
Literally.
And it's such a funny
It
thing.
was always an engaging conversation, especially if
And you know,
Marlon involved.
yeah, and you know the funniest thing? You know the funniest thing? I don't even like, at the time, like football that much, like a big football fan. But I used to know that you support Tottenham, so if Tottenham played, I'd be like, call Dizzy before this time, because he ain't gonna come. You know? And then after I'm thinking, like, Sean be going on the radio for this time, so get his flight before that time. So
By the way, you're Dizzle. That shows how long we know each other.
Yeah.
My company was Dizzleworks, isn't it?
Yeah.
2 years ago.
Yeah.
All his customers,
Yeah.
all his staff, they don't call me my name, you know,
Yeah.
Dizzle. Email, hi Dizzle.
Yeah.
Dizzle, your prize ready at this
Yeah,
time.
yeah, pretty much.
That ain't even my email address no more.
Yeah.
I hate
It's
it.
mad, it's crazy.
And you know the funny thing is, we never used to have landline phone, like, you know, the phone that you answer like that. I scrapped that because I figure out that if we just divert to our mobile, and even though it's paying more, I could get everybody's number when they call. So as soon as you call now, I was like, you're calling the line and it's just come to my mobile.
Yeah.
And we used to be saving that basically.
Yeah. Hi, Julian.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
So we used to be on mobiles. So we'd be on BlackBerry, we'd be on, you know what I'm saying? So as soon as you call up, basically, then it moved to iPhone and all that.
Yeah.
But it was like, bam, straight away.
You
know what I'm saying?
You've definitely worked this all out, man. Like,
And-
because we've had no problem with the process. Like,
Yeah.
since meeting you, you say the fly's ready this time, that time, you delivered.
And you know what? One time our machine break on a Saturday, on a Friday night, break, and I'm thinking, shit, what are we going to do? So we call up the manufacturer of the machine. True story. Call up the manufacturer. Manufacturer all the way in Derby. And then there was a delivery a delivery lady for Faz and basically Ashley. We call her up, her name Joe. And we're like, Joe, come, we're going Derby. And we call up the guy opened up his premises for us. And his brand new machine, brand state of the art, spanking machine. Like, come to Derby. We bring the job all the way from London tonight.
Wow.
Bring it to Derby.
Wow.
Laminate the job.
That's nice.
And bring it back here before we touch back London about 7-8 o'clock. Cut the job
What, 7, 8 o'clock in the morning?
in the morning. Cut the job, and you guys come and pick the job up that day.
Wicked.
Because the trick about it is, don't let these guys down.
Yeah, big.
And over the last 3-4 years, by doing that, you know, and then before that, now, you know, I remember when we moved out the MO basically, and I went in and we actually invest. Like literally, we move out the MO, and it was a 1.5 base million machine.
The MO is the actual machine, yeah?
Yeah, the machine basically. Sorry.
Yeah.
So we move out that basically £75,000 machine that we stepped up to, and then our big investment that I was actually losing sleep over. I didn't want to buy.
I remember.
You know, I didn't want to buy a big machine, and then I couldn't bring myself to because I couldn't justify it because the price of the MO says 75,000. When you take on a bigger finance, I'm gonna have to pay that finance every year. That my cost of the machine that's already paid for. So I'm just taking out a newer machine, and that machine will cost me about 75,000 a year. And I just never understand why. I understand why, but I just couldn't justify. Like, you have this thing already, it's paid for, it's making you a profit. Why would you disrupt yourself and go that way? But then I realized that my quality wasn't what I needed to have. Basically, it was colourful, but it needed to be a little bit tighter. It needed to be a little bit punchy. So I know that I have to make that step. That was my dream machine as well. So it's like I have to move from some sort of Toyota up to some sort of Rolls Royce.
Yeah.
It comes at a cost. And
That's a big jump, you know. Toyota to Rolls Royce.
pretty
you know
much
what I mean?
basically.
Yeah.
So I couldn't go brand new, even though I went to look at brand new, and it was like a 1.5, 1.7. And then I figure out that there was a company that closing down, and there was merging basically, and he had a machine there. And they'd be like, well, you know, we could do a deal for about 750, 800. We negotiate the price, whatever the case is. We done the deal, And I remember we put some money in the deal as well, and we was chasing the money for four to 5 years. And I'm thinking to myself, wow, like I'm paying for, this machine will cost me close, close to 100,000 because it's still gonna have breakdowns and stuff like that, which is expensive as well.
Yeah.
So I would have to put up 100k every month for this machine. Sorry, every year for this machine basically. But my machine for 75k, that's doable.
Yeah.
But I didn't want to produce a lot more than what anyone could actually do, because it's when you're in production, it's all about the make ready of it. So imagine we're gonna race, and after time of shoes, and you could just come and go like that and go on. So in 5 minutes you're going, and I'm have to be looking for my stuff. So that's printing for you basically. So if I have to make ready and print this one, test it, these machines could literally press the button and in 5 minutes you're on the run.
Comes at a cost, like you said.
Exactly. So if I'm doing, like, as I said to you, 350, 400 an hour, but if you're paying a finance on the machine, that go on the hourly rate. Okay, if your machine's only running 160 to 240 hours per month, whatever you're paying per finance, after you have to divide that by that to see what the hourly rate is per, for your finance. So that's gonna put a massive chunk there basically. But in all honesty, it has to be done. Big
moves, man. Big moves.
So we leave it 1 year, and we said we're gonna see if this is a fluke. You know what I'm saying? So the second year again, so we have to be extra nice, and then we find out that these guys was getting busy, and South London was difficult. I tell you what, South London was the most difficult place to sell because I tell you why, it was easy to sell on this side.
Yeah, it's coming across the port water.
Yeah, because the way I look at life is this. You wouldn't really pass a corner shop and you're buying milk for the same price and go all the way to Walthamstow to buy milk and you live over this side. Yeah. So what would make me pull those guys? And I can't sell it no cheaper because I'm making a bigger investment now. So I need the money more. If anything, I need to raise my price. But I can't afford to raise my price. So what I have to do now, I have to go back to China now to actually make a bigger commitment and bigger loads coming in. So now I need to shift this thing now. So I'm just maximizing my overhead. But I need to produce something that I'll be happy with. So we start producing sweet to fly. The printer came in, press a button, and this printer was my life. I was like, I used to go there on Sunday, look at the machine, and I'm saying, feel really fall in love with this machine.
The legs.
Stroke it as well,
Yeah, exactly. So
good morning, beautiful. Good morning, beautiful.
Yeah, I'm saying, so that was a massive move for us.
Yeah, massive.
But it paid off because we made the move just before Olympic. So we actually then bought the machine, then the Olympic came in, we put it in there. But then 2012, 2013, up to 2014, those was a massive year for it. Like massive year just by upgrading the kit. Because now we start taking on so much jobs basically.
Yeah.
Julian is sort of in the confident now to go approach bigger companies now. And then we producing better stuff.
Yeah.
So it's funny to just step out of your comfort zone.
We had some good contracts.
And
the quality was there.
And growing with the customer. So if I never done that, these guys have never really seen that they've matured and turned into much more of a mandate, for argument's sake. So straight away, because I actually done that in time, when these guys matured and turned into a much more better business people, they needed that quality. So the timing was right. So we start producing so much better stuff, and these guys are so much more happier. And I think that was probably one of my biggest moves in print.
Is this your moves, or is it the boss as well?
To be honest with you, I can't, I can't make a move. I can't make a move. I can't lie. I can't make a move without her blessing. Yeah. It's because I tell her some of my rubbish ideas, and she throw them back. And she so it's like talking to that wall and you're not getting a response. But if you're talking to that wall and you're getting a response, basically.
So was the timings calculated, or is it just one of those things that everything just fell into place?
No, it was calculated because I couldn't. I put it this way: I'm the type of person that will probably have a perfect game and still find a problem with it. So I still have to analyze, because if you just get away by the skin of your teeth, you might make it look brilliant.
Yeah.
But you need to know if you was actually meant to score that goal.
Yes.
Only you gonna know that.
Yeah, and that's why I said
Yeah.
calculated, or everything just fell into place at the right moment.
But-
Do you know what I mean? Because
yeah.
you know, there's quite a bit of a
Yeah,
difference.
I mean everything. But what I'm trying to say to you, because you kick that ball, you're gonna analyze it and see if you're meant to do that. So if it actually fall, if it's a fluke. Say for argument's sake, I couldn't buy a machine because Julian print flyers and automatically got one talk job. I need to call him and say, Julian, you give me a talk job. Where do you get it from? And I need to know about a talk mother, sister. I need to dig up a bit deeper.
Okay.
Then when he told me that I went to a bar, I met this guy, and I have a contract in place, I feel better. So I need to keep Julian here by doing that. But if it was like, someone let down the guy in another job, I couldn't invest on the back of that. But I was still trying to push him more with a support to get more of that, basically.
Yeah, okay.
But I never had a big contract in my life. But I had basically 8,000 customers that buy from us. And at one time, the 8,000 customer have 5,000 of the customers active every year out of that. But say the 3,000 is always maybe a one-off or invitation and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So then that turned into 12,000 after a period of time. And then the internet opened up, basically. And then all that sort of kind of killed the game to some extent, but we still invest in that, basically, whatever the case is. So it's one of those things. But my best thing that ever happened to me, these guys are sales guys that I don't have to pay. But the only way to pay them is make sure that they could pay themselves.
Yeah.
By basically putting their markup on top.
Yeah.
So I wasn't really interested in selling for a big profit. I was just keeping the machine turning.
Yeah.
At least
Wicked.
it's a good price.
You know,
Wicked.
and the funny thing is, I leave the print trade, technically speaking, and I still own the print company, but I haven't been in the print trade for what, 4 or 5 years now? Yeah, because for 4 or 5 years, my wife been running the print trade.
Okay.
So I wouldn't say I could get bored, but I did need, every year I need a challenge.
Speaking of which, obviously we went up like the Jamaican.
The Jamaican Commission, yeah. I remember that one, basically.
So talk about some of your philanthropy, innit? Come on.
Yeah. So that was the time. We even went to the meeting together, basically. Funny enough, yeah. So that year, I think that was 2017.
Yeah.
And then it's come 2018, I start off a new venture, basically. I've basically, can you remember the adapt clinic and all that type of thing we was doing?
Hospital, yeah.
Yeah, and then after that, then I went back to Jamaica, and I sort of, trying to get back into, with the whole culture of Jamaica and stuff like that. But then because you want to do something back home as well, because you've done so much great things in the UK, So I said to my wife, you know what, you can run this business because you've been running this business. So she's taking care of that business, and I'm like a silent partner, basically, when it comes to that type of thing. But we live together, so I hear about that business every day. But not necessarily physically.
Marlon still gets a phone call. Marlon, is everybody in the warehouse, please?
Yeah, I still get a phone call, basically. Yeah, I still get a phone call because
I got a funeral
program, basically.
Funeral's on Friday, blood.
So I still get that phone call. But the truth about the matter, the everyday running of that business for the last maybe 4 or 5 years wasn't me. Because I start doing.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I start doing basically, other stuff. I launched another company. So I launched a shipping company, basically, and a shipping company.
Lloyd's there? What? Before you said that?
Yeah, so basically, I changed from where.
I missed it, don't worry. No. It's Marland McGregor.
So basically, that's what it is.
Subtitles, please.
Yeah. So, I mean, honestly, my journey just been crazy. Where my wife sort of basically and I sort of run that print for the longest while. We actually then moved from, how many factories did we move? About 3 factories. And then our last factory now, basically, we sort of try and say, right, we're doing this thing, as you said, we're moving from the hustling background to more sort of stability.
Yeah.
So we then have to start after making that investment in that kit and everything like that, we invested in several different kit of that sort of nature. We started doing large format. We started doing so much thing within the print.
Yeah.
Basically, so we start evolve, if you want to call it, basically. So we evolved to a point that I felt like my team was good enough, strong enough to take care of that, and I need to basically spend my time doing something else. So I then get involved with the High Commissioner, Jamaican High Commissioner, and then basically we went to the meeting and everything like that. We actually came up with some sort of plan to basically do some sort of thing looking back home.
Okay.
So we got invited home to meet the Prime Minister and everything like that, based on
The Jamaican Prime Minister.
yeah, the Jamaican Prime Minister, based on the whole thing that we actually sat down here and create. So Jay and I basically sat down and we done the design and everything like that for the clinic and everything that needs to go in place there. So we went back home to the diaspora or whatever it was at the
Diaspora,
time.
yeah.
And then we actually went back home. We went to the seminar. It was such and such. But because I was in Kingston talking. So I'm thinking, I'm a country boy. I need to do something back in my hometown. So I went back home. I thought, no, I'm going to do something back here. So even though I was still on that campaign trail for that, but they was mainly talking about Kingston and these areas. I'm like far up,
Home
you know
is
what I'm saying? So I went back home and I built this. I make it sound simple, like I just went back home and built this thing, but it took about 7 years overall, and then build this complex. So the idea for the complex was, because I'm from like a rural place, I didn't want to bring everything back there, like a doctor's surgery, Western, So that was the initial idea. And then by doing that now, I realized that I'm still in the UK, so I need to find a product here in the UK to send back to Jamaica. But then I'm thinking, I'm not there, so what product can I send back that I don't have to have so much involvement in? So I was trying to do tires, trying to do this, trying to do that. Like I'm always brainstorming, trying to find something. So we start sending back vehicles like cars. Not cars. We start sending back trucks. We actually send back a few cars. Well, not much, but mainly trucks basically. So over the last 5 years, we launched a company in Jamaica, basically selling parts and trucks basically. So that's what.
I come to pick up some flyers one day and I see Marland just kind of outside his truck, outside.
Yeah. Same thing.
And he's literally like, that's gonna cost that. That's gonna cost that. We're just gonna break it down to like. Yeah.
So it was like a complex. It had 2 floors on the diagram. Two floors.
Pretty much basically. And then after that, we actually changed from. I keep on saying we because I have to use my team. Regardless if I'm behind it, I have to big up the team.
How's your brother, by the way?
Britain's nice, isn't it?
Yeah.
Nice. Thanks for asking. So what actually happened is we launched that shopping centre looking thing, like if you want to call it shopping centre, it's not necessarily a shopping centre, it's like a village convenient thing basically.
Is it more industrial?
It's just a one,
like equivalent of what?
The only way to tell you know the Wild West when you watch a cowboy movie and you see someone riding into town and you have that one.
Or saloon,
that one thing that take care of everything. That's what it meant to be. Okay. That was a concept basically.
Complex.
Yeah, complex basically. But again, I figure out to do that you need money, and you need to be generating money basically. So I find that I would have to find a business that work before I can actually see all my dreams come true. So I shelved the building, in the second phase of the building, and then create selling lorries and so literally start sending over, as Jay said, lorries on top of lorries basically. So last 5 years we've been selling English trucks in Jamaica. So
are they right hand drive in Jamaica?
Yeah, exactly like England. So at the moment basically I honestly could actually put my hands up and said Pinnocks basically, the company's called Pinnocks Imports. It's if not the largest, one of the largest used truck basically suppliers in Jamaica at the moment. And so that's what we actually been doing. And over that year basically Jamaica's been really, really good to us because I never really done business in my country before. I come to England to do business.
So how does that make you feel? Talk about your emotion. How does it make you feel?
To be honest with you, it's an emotional thing for me because first thing first, my first thing was, what Jamaican I'm going to find to sell a truck to? I've never done it. Anybody going to buy a truck off me? You know, that was my friends.
Or like
you know,
the pickup truck or if anything else.
yeah, pretty much. So, but then when I dig deeper, I realized that Jamaica is the Jamaica that I thought I know.
It's not the same.
It's not the same Jamaica. Jamaica is a good market, and it's a market just like England, just a smaller one. And so I find that by bringing in certain skills and sending over X amount of trucks or whatever the case is, I then really figure out that we can actually be a one-stop shop for that, basically. So at the moment, we actually do on average probably 40 trucks a year, or just under 40 trucks a year, and we've been doing it for the last 5 years. So if you actually go to our forecourt in Jamaica now, at any time you can see, I don't know, anytime you can see over 17 to 20 trucks, there for sale, basically. And we're hoping to actually, extend that. Extend the fleet over there for that, basically.
What's the kind of prices for these trucks in English money?
In English money, basically, roughly, because the main trucks that we actually sell, we attack the market because the American market in Jamaica the truck market is the more American market for the bigger trucks. So we attack it from the 7.5 tons and the medium truck basically. So instead of like the 18 tons and we do sell 18 tons as well, but say for instance the 26 tons and 32 tons and stuff like that, that market's already gone to the American market. To some extent. The English market is picking up, but bear in mind, with the disclaimer, is English shop build Jamaica, like the Leland and the freighters and stuff like that. But after the rural evolving, a lot of imports coming in from China and stuff like that, the Isuzu and stuff like that is there. So, but this was a new product that I have to end up learn, basically. So I don't know anything about trucks at the time, but it's a product. You know what I'm saying? So then I have to figure out how to do this, basically. So what I met a guy, and he was doing, a few things as well, and then I just spent about a year with him, just being like holding the spanner. Market research. Like literally physically hands-on. So I said to my wife one day, I'm not going to be coming to work, and the concert's amazing. I'm going to be driving around with a guy in his car and go buy trucks and pull up truck and get myself greasy. So near enough, I'm never the determined mechanic. I literally just trying to figure this thing out because I can't do a business what I don't know anything about. I have to get really deep in it. So after that time now, I figure out what is what and what is and then at that time though, so I end up sell so much trucks. I even sold over 5 trucks to one company or one individual in Jamaica. So we actually find that once somebody have you in their corner, just like the fly business, people depend on you. So people come back to you for everything. So and then my wife actually, in COVID, she's on pulling her ear out saying, "What's going on?" And then she actually
speak to you about. So obviously that time hits. Like, what was the preparation? What was the plan? What was the game plan?
The good thing about COVID, my wife's gonna kill me for saying this.
That's a good way to start.
The good thing about COVID because everyone know about the bad thing about COVID. The good thing about COVID is I would never get the time at home if COVID never happened. I teach my son to cook. I teach my son to do a lot of things. So I was actually playing it down because my wife was panicking. And then I ended up use that thing to, but the shipping thing was still going on. So we actually ended up shipping so much trucks in COVID. Oh, wow. So the shipping game was actually up. The printing game was really down. So, we still feeling the effects from COVID up to now with the print.
Dominoes, yeah.
So basically, exactly, because the rave market cut down. We never print the rave flyers. March normally be one of our best months ever in print, all the time, and March was when COVID strike.
I ain't gonna lie, it felt so foreign to send you a flyer, like literally just like a one flyer, like what, you want it to be printed?
Exactly. So that wiped out a lot of things for a lot of people. But the funny enough, I don't know what happened to me. As I said to you, 2017/18, I wasn't really getting bored of the print. I was just getting bored overall. So that's when I was trying to find another business as well. So my wife was still doing print, and I'll start basically researching something new. And then because the whole diaspora thing and all that, I started to invest a little bit more time in Jamaica and all that. So automatically start doing you know, trucks and stuff. So when COVID came 3 years after, I was already 3 years ahead with that truck business, which is not something I can say I didn't know COVID was coming.
Yeah.
It just worked that way.
Yeah.
If you see what I mean. But at the same time, my wife, you know, sought out a business that she started. So now she just launched a candle product. And she was doing the candles straight through COVID. So there's so much people dying in COVID. So all the candles, the sympathy candles and stuff like that, she actually ended up launching a new company called 22 Kisses. And that company was actually, in the COVID time, that company was really, really good.
Yeah.
And after COVID, it's still good. And which is weird. So it's more like added value print because we print the labels for that. So it's not flyers, but
labels,
yeah, but it's still
products.
It's still a product basically. So we ended up actually done that. And then the flighting came back. But again, when you're doing printing, as we're saying that every hour's count, and if the flyers dry up, you have to find something else to substitute that. So we are still in the process of missing our flyers in some sense. But the flyers, in all honesty, it's coming back. But again, as you're saying, that a lot of the new kids are now doing promoting don't know the use of a flyer.
Yeah.
If you see what I mean, basically.
Yeah, totally.
So they will have different avenue.
Yeah.
If you see what I mean. So I think that's what it actually is. But at the same time,
Adapting, isn't it?
adapting basically. But the print is my baby.
Yeah.
You know, it's always been, always will be. But then there's so much other things that I end up done in the process of print basically. And there's, you know, as I said to you, you kind of evolve. So in my 20s, I start, you know, 18/20s, I start the print. And then after that, basically, you know, we probably say, I don't know, maybe say 35 or so, I then start the Jamaica side of things, or maybe a little bit younger than that. And then 40 catch me with the Jamaica side of things. And then I'm still doing the print, still actually doing that, basically. But before that, I realized that making money is something that you do basically, but it's what you do with it. So we find out that we'd have to make more stronger investment. So we then have to start investing in more tangible stuff basically. So I would buy a machine, but I wouldn't buy a building or a property basically, because I would just think that that's long and you know, and the machine I could see straight away can the numbers work. But then we find out that because at the time I started looking at every little aspect where we're spending money. And my rent was a big thing, basically. We're paying so much rent. So then that's when we actually, at the time, looking back in Olympic, 2011 and stuff like that, we then actually bought the building that we were in. And so when we bought the building 13 years ago, basically, we found out that those things was actually some of the best things that we ever did. So when we then start, you know, sort of trying to figure out all the money that's going out, how can we retain that money? And it was actually like, okay, then let's buy, you know, let's be our own landlord, basically. And then, you know, so that was the same thing as, you know, as investing. It's like my wife was saying, okay, if you're going to buy out a press, you're going to have to buy a property. So that was a trade-off. I'm like, okay, no problem, I'll buy a property because I want to buy a press. And it was actually, it was that moment, basically, as I'm saying. You kind of have a wife, but you also have someone that trying to see where you're coming from and try to match you as much as you know they can, and that is the investment I'm saying is probably the best investment I ever make.
So with the complex, you've now got into real estate.
So
is there more plans for real estate in Jamaica?
Yes, because before the complex, what I never said to you, I built like this 7 you know, we call them flats over here, we call them condos out there. So I was actually still, but then the thing is, I wasn't building them for myself, which was weird. It's like, my life was like this, I was like, I need to do something for my mum. I need to do something for my dad. So I'm always trying to do something for a family member. And eventually, I end up investing things that I can't tell you that I sit down and said, oh right, I'm going to invest X amount of millions in real estate. No, that wasn't the case. It was like, if something happened to me,
fall into place.
I want my mum to fall back in something. I want my wife to fall back in something. So I'm always have preparation for people around me to fall back in these things. So I end up invest, like this year I'll dedicate it to that thing. Or next year you know what I'm saying, or the year before or something like that. So all of my life, I would say I would make X amount of money now. Say for instance, last year. And I'm thinking, okay, I'd love to do the same this year. But what am I going to do with the money? So if you look in my pocket, I don't have no money. Because I'm always penning it at something, basically. If you see what I mean. So, but I'm trying to spend it at something tangible. So if I then say, for instance, I sort out the rent catcher then for the business, I have to think, if something happened to me, I don't want my mom to say
Any pressure.
to my wife, oh, but I want you to sell the family house because I'm struggling. So I'll be like, oh, mom, I'm going to peel off that for you over there. I'm going to peel off that for you. I'm going to peel off that for you. I'm going to peel off that for you. So if I was actually more self-centered and thinking about myself, maybe I would have a massive portfolio just thinking about myself. But I don't need much. All I need to do is to see that these things working. So every year of my life and my business life so far, it's actually been, ever since I know that I'm doing business, it's always been, this year is for my mom, this year is for my dad. So the reason why I even build a complex, that is my dad's side of people. So I build that on the family line of my dad's side of people. The 7 condo / flats that I built, that's my mom's side of basically the land. So I'm saying, oh, the bottom line is, if I, you know, in Jamaica we said, if we back our toe tomorrow, my mom will have that to fall back with, my wife will have that to fall back in. So now I'm sort of free to go and try things based on, because I know that it's secure, that relevant thing for that person that need to depend on me basically. So that's where my calculation always been. So I've never really done anything for myself. You know, for myself is to see that this thing is working. I'm good with that. Because if I'm alive and I have the same capability that I have last year, I will survive. What if it's what I mean? If for whatever reason I'm sick, I don't need money then. You see what I'm trying to say basically? But if I'm alive, I'll be okay. You know what I'm saying? So all I'm asking God to do is to take me to wherever I'm going and bring me back home. And the rest is up to me. If you see what I mean. So it's never really been a case where I'm actually doing this and I'm doing it. From the first money I ever make, that was always the money that proves to me that I can make some sort of money. And money is just a reward of whatever I actually sold in basically. And if you reap money at the end, fair enough. Because we're doing a service that provide that money is a road at the end basically. But there's a lot more satisfaction otherwise from that keep that repeatable person coming back is addiction. So my customers will probably addicted to whatever I'm providing or whatever the company is provided. And that's good enough for me basically. If you see what I mean. But you know,
see, if you ever need any motivational speak longers, you just need that motivational lift. In the man there. If you're in a rush.
Have we covered everything?
I think we've covered everything, but it's just like, what's your last words to like, as motivation for the young entrepreneurs? Because what I get from today is, and what I've heard from you all these years, is that you're not afraid to take those risks. You're not afraid of that money to make, what that cost is of that. I'm going to go and get it.
No.
How are you gonna make it?
No, there's I got a fear of losing.
Yes.
I can't see that.
No, seriously. I don't want this thing to come across like I don't have a fear of losing. That is my biggest fear of losing. But hear what my fear is. Not prepared. That is my biggest fear. So my fear is doing something I don't know anything about because you never give me enough time. You want me to deliver. So if I want to go and do something tomorrow, I'm like the slowest businessman you're ever going to meet. I'm not like that. No. Well, I'll be like that when I learn, when I practice that. So I will never be the type of guy you call up and say, "Well, it's a good deal. Invest." Maybe when I was 15, I would do that. But you're never going to get an investment from me as an investor in something without me knowing what this thing is and what is my exit. Basically, what is my exit? You have to have
exit strategy.
Yeah, you have to have 1, 2, 3, because it can fall 4 and 5. That's when it was horrible wrong. But somewhere along the line, you have to tell me. So say for argument's sake, we're going to buy this building, we're going to turn it into, I don't know, a HMO or something like that. You can't tell me that, okay, we don't no planning permit, nothing like that. We're going to You have to tell me, okay, if we don't get that, the building can still rent for what you're going to put in it. Then it's a no-brainer. I will invest.
Yeah.
Because I will, my rice money then basically, I live off the rice. But if we having steak now basically because we actually got what we needed, brilliant. But don't sell me the steak. Surprise me with that basically. Show me a little piece of it basically, but not.
Yeah.
If it's what I'm trying to say basically. So I'm not necessarily a risk taker. Okay, when you actually do certain things, you have the experience, so you will automatically feel like you will be capable of making a good decision. And most of the time I feel like I can make a good decision. But if it's something that I don't know, it's going to be hard for me to say, because I don't like to fail. And the next thing is, I've never had a job in England before. I never really sort of booking, my experience of working in England, it's always been from the market, this, that. So I'm not formal. My formal thing come from my research. So.
But then again, it's that immigrant kind of hunger.
Yeah. The hustle.
Not from being here, having to actually survive.
But it's a funny thing. I wasn't
Sink or swim.
Yeah, but I wasn't that hungry in my country. This is the problem.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
I was a kid that if I was
You didn't have to be though. You didn't have to be.
Yeah, because think about it. When you actually, so if you take out the English guy out of England and put him in the desert, he'd probably survive better than in England.
Yeah, because
he has to
in
be
his own place, he's got a safety net.
Pretty much, basically. And I think that's why. But to be honest with you, the young kids are basically now coming up. My thing to them is basically, don't be arrogant, because arrogant sell and arrogant work sometimes. But at the same time, still have a little thing in the back. Be confident, then basically, because confident and arrogant is
between confidence and arrogance.
Yeah, exactly. But at the same time, if they could actually just double in what was available before them and take out the good bits then basically and put it on what they have as that new fire, that they would have the right recipe for that level of success basically. Because some of the stuff that they will accomplish, me and you will never understand. But at the same time, if they didn't understand what you understand and what they understand, they would be a better person. If you see what I mean basically. So I think that's basically my thing basically. But at the same time, I don't find England as a very odd place. I think England is one of the best places in the world. And that coming from it, maybe people say that, they're really, really rich. But the thing is, the opportunities here is so much opportunities here.
It's just being able to navigate your way through it.
Before we even close, there's a point I need to touch. The black race spend more money collectively on product than any other race that I experience. I'm not looking from a statistic point of view. I'm looking from what I know.
Yeah, personally.
So basically, when I was actually looking at inspiration and looking at what I need to do and looking at how to change my mindset, I have to look at my people and say, I love my people, but do without that jeans. Do without that tea at the time. Do without certain little things basically. It's not important. You see what I'm trying to say basically? Try to put some bigger things around basically. So I was actually looking at other race and not comparing race as such, but take out good bits out of that. Because no matter what race you are, some good bits is inside here. The Chinese that will come inside this country and they will sleep on a bunk bed. Take that away from that. You see what I'm trying to say? The Turkish will come here and actually formulate a business. They will break up eventually, but they will break up with everyone of a decent piece of the pie. But sometimes we need to take that on board. I'm not saying we as black people don't do it, but we don't do it enough. If you see what I mean, basically. But if you look at it, Jay, from a point of view, every dollar that I make, and I can't look at you and say, oh, I'm a cash-rich person. No, I ain't. But at the same time, basically, am I hungry? No. But at the same time, basically, did I make money? Yes. Am I still making money? Yes. But money by itself doesn't have no value. Money is such a useless thing. It's unbelievable, basically. you know, if it's a case where you have that cash and you're just making cash, that don't make any sense. You have to find something to put that cash in that's tangible.
Definitely.
With certain value that we will reap that value down the line, basically. So even if you was a guy that buying gold or silver coins or something like that, imagine our foreparents or whoever our loved ones die and they leave a bank book with a couple of thousand. We inherit it, basically. I would prefer them to be alive, but people do die. So if I'm actually going to inherit something, I prefer to inherit some gold coins, because with that gold coin, I leave it here,
Investment.
and I leave it there. Don't touch it. But every day that gold coin go up in value. So what I'm trying to say is, imagine you're investing in not liabilities. You're investing in real tangible stuff, like say for instance bricks and mortars, I would say, or stuff like that. Basically, you can't go wrong. So I think that, and I think that's the education we need to teach, because sometimes we have money. When I said money, we're talking about most black people that I know, like we growing up, and you know, we know them, the man's on the street, they could find 20 bags, and sometimes they only need 10 bags to have what a other guy have in 10 years time, or even better than that, basically. But because that education don't get teach to us, we have that 10 bags. What we do, we go and buy a car. You see what I'm trying to say? But we could have actually take that 10 bags, invest it in something, and then whatever that generate, that will actually generate enough to buy the same car. And look exactly the same, you know what I'm saying? And then, and the plus part of it is that will increase in value while the car depreciate. You see what I'm trying to say? So I think these are the education that I would actually go back and teach my younger self, that I know now, and I would teach every person around me, basically, and my community a lot more of that, because there's a lot of cash in my community. It's and if you will think about what I'm trying to say to you guys, think back how much money, the most money you will ever come across, and if you all think about what you all actually done with it, and if you all actually done something tangible with it, you don't have to be the most money, but that stuff withstand the time now, and that stuff is still relevant now. So I think that we need to be investing, not saving.
There you go. Done.
Yep.
There you go. Good. Marlon, thank you for your time. That was powerful.
That was real, yeah, man.
That was powerful.
Ladies and gentlemen, Marland McGregor. Sorry, Pinnock.
Yeah, thank you for that. Tuned in, boy. My mind's blown, as usual.
Yes.
So, yeah, thank you. Tune in, watch again, subscribe, tell a friend to tell a friend. We'll be back soon. The Statement Podcast.
But.